The following is a presentation from the MJCast, the internet's premier podcast on all things Michael Jackson.
You're listening to the MJCast by MJ fans or MJ fans.
The idea is to innovate, or else why am I doing it?
When I create my music, I feel like an instrument of nature.
You let it create itself, really. I know I do. And I love to entertain. That's one of my favorite things. I love my fans. Just simply Michael Jackson.
Welcome to the MJCast, your source of news and discussion on the King of Pop.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 38 of the MJCast. Michael, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Michael.
Woo! Happy birthday, Michael.
Woohoo!
Oh, we got a fun show planned today.
We sure do. So today's episode, we are joined by our guest host, James, and we're going to be talking about some great new stuff, and we're going to be hearing from James about his fan story as well. Some of the news headlines we're going to be covering today: Quincy Jones was recently honoured at proms in England. Spike Lee's 6th annual Michael Jackson block party, Brooklyn loves MJ, and we've got Tarrell and 3T News and a new Michael Jackson calendar. So tune in and enjoy this birthday episode of the MJCast.
Yay. Yeah, we've got a really special guest on the show today, which we're excited about. He's a guy that we've been trying to get on the show for a very long time, and we're so glad to finally have him here. He's a very, very dear friend of mine and of the show, and also does a lot of work for the MJCast to help us bring this show to life, which we'll get into a little bit later. So, James LA, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here.
Welcome, James. You're joining us from the United States today?
That's right. Yeah, from the Cleveland area.
Awesome. And I'm actually joining you from Studio Brisbane.
Woo.
I'm actually recording in a hotel room today. So it's the mobile studio. So yeah, hey Brisbane, shout out to Brisbane listeners and Michael fans.
We're in the same time zone for once.
Yeah, we are. I was just going to say that. We are actually in the same time zone. Usually it's 2 or 3 hours different. No, it's never 3 hours because
2 hours,
you guys don't have daylight savings. Yeah. So it's usually 2 hours difference. And it's evening. We don't usually record in the evening time, but it's early morning for James.
Yes, the break of dawn. About 6:30 a.m. here.
Oh, please. That's not break of dawn.
No,
I got up. My usual wake-up time is 3 a.m.
Oh, that's brutal, man. I don't know how you do.
No,
that's crazy.
I'm used to it. Hashtag crew life.
I love your crew life tweets. Sometimes I just follow the hashtag to see what's going on in crew life. Very interesting stuff. You guys have to deal with some pretty crazy scenarios.
Yeah, no, it works good. It's fine. Yeah, flying home tomorrow, and tomorrow is scheduled to the minute because I, of course, will be, as soon as I land, I have to go and change clothes out of my uniform and into just regular clothes, and then I'm driving straight into the city. I'll be attending the Perth Michael Jackson birthday lunch at Fast Eddie's. Shout out to Fast Eddie's, awesome thick shakes. And then after that, I've got to leave that early. So firstly, I'm getting to the birthday lunch that I helped organize late because of work. And then I'm leaving the lunch early because I've got my Romy and Michelle 20-year high school reunion to go to. So I'm like literally scheduled to the minute tomorrow.
That is a full-on day.
Yeah, I'm going to be shattered, absolutely shattered at the end of tomorrow. So, but it's all for love.
What about the luncheon thing you're having, the birthday celebration? That's
yeah.
I saw you talking on Twitter earlier today about some of the money being raised from that going to charity.
Yeah, in the past we've done some sort of little money tins where, if you want, or sometimes we've said, $5 donation would be really great for these charities and stuff. So I will just bring up the event. So tomorrow we are going to be having 2 charities, and one charity is called it is Michael Jackson's Legacy. So the website for that is michaeljacksonslegacy.org. and the other is the MJFFC, and the website is mjffc.org.uk. So yeah, we'll just have like little donation tins, and the couple of us that attend these events, I've got some notes today when I got some cash out. That will be just dropping some money in for those. So yeah, we'd like to do that on his birthday every year.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Make sure you get some photos so we can tweet them out from the MJCast account and people can see.
Yes, I will. Did that last year, and I will make sure we do it again. You'll see some familiar Perth faces. Shout out to Julie and Justine, and Michelle will be there, and me. Hopefully some new faces this year as well. That'll be cool.
What are you wearing tomorrow? Like
I haven't
MJ
actually.
T-shirt or?
No, because I could only really pack what I could bring on this work trip. I couldn't really fit much in my crew bag. We haven't got big suitcases or anything. So yeah, I've just got like a nice, smart sort of jacket. Shout out to Zara, and just a shirt from Uniqlo, and then just jeans and sneakers. So yeah, I haven't actually got any MJ stuff to wear to the party tomorrow because I'll be wearing the same outfit down to the Romeo and Michelle's 20-year high school reunion.
Whoa. There is always an opportunity for MJ stuff. What about finger tape? Come on.
I didn't have
Aviators.
finger tape. I don't own aviators because they look terrible on me.
Well, I'm expecting you, Q, to figure out some kind of Michael Jackson thing. You have to do it. Like,
not going to happen.
Well,
nope, not going to happen tomorrow.
Okay. What about white socks?
I have packed dark socks, and you wouldn't see them under jeans anyway.
True.
And I don't have black loafers anymore. I stopped buying them a few years ago.
Yeah. Oh, well. You'll have a great time. That's exciting.
Yeah, it'll be good. Just super busy.
Yeah. James, what are your plans for Michael's big day?
I guess you could say I'll be celebrating privately. It's always a sort of special day of celebration and reflection. Unfortunately, I don't have any fan events, at least not in real life, to attend. But there's always so much going on in social media, so
yeah,
I'm sure I'll be a lot of fan projects. In fact, when we get to our picks later in the show, I've picked out a fan project from a couple years ago that came out on Michael's birthday. So I'm sure the community will be celebrating in its own special way all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great just watching Twitter, watching Facebook, seeing what the big fan groups are doing and different Michael fans from around the world. Very, very cool day. Definitely. Yeah.
So we're going to be starting with a recent event in the news, aren't we, Jamin?
Yeah. There was a Quincy Jones celebration, I think, recently in England, I believe in London. And it was England's yearly proms event. But this year it was honouring the great Quincy Jones, amazing producer that worked with Michael on Thriller, Bad, Off the Wall. I think they started working right back in the late 70s, actually, on the Wiz.
The Wiz.
Yeah, the Wiz. So, I mean, Quincy, being a mega producer, has worked with an incredible roster of artists, but of course was right there with Michael during Michael's brilliant 80s years. So, big prom celebration for Quincy Jones in London. We were lucky enough to have Charles Thompson in attendance at the event, and we're just going to cross over to Charles now, who's going to tell us about how the event went.
On Monday, August 22nd, more than 5,000 people filled London's Royal Albert Hall for a musical tribute to Quincy Jones. The event was staged as part of the BBC Proms, an annual 7-week series of classical music and big band concerts. Listeners may recall that last September the Jacksons rocked London's Hyde Park when they headlined Proms in the Park on the last night of the 2015 season, performing a 50-minute set of hits accompanied by the BBC Orchestra. Ahead of Monday's concert, Proms organisers promised new arrangements of hits both old and new to celebrate the career of the composer, arranger, conductor, producer and all-round musical giant Quincy Jones. The show didn't disappoint. 36-year-old conductor Jules Buckley said before the show that he wanted to smash the stereotype that classical music concerts were boring affairs for grim-faced old men. He certainly succeeded. He led the Dutch Metropole Orchestra, the world's longest established jazz orchestra, through an eclectic collection of Quincy's arrangements, productions, and compositions from throughout his 7-decade career. The night kicked off with a medley of his TV theme tunes for Roots, Ironside, and Sanford and Son. Over the next 2 hours, the set list included numbers from Quincy's film scores, a medley of disco hits, and tracks Quincy had produced as recently as this year, at age 83, with young artists like Jacob Collier and Cuban pianist Alfredo Rodriguez, both of whom were amongst a host of guest performers who took turns joining the orchestra. In a glowing review published after the show, London Jazz News said, "Identifying highlights is not easy. It was pretty much all highlight." I tend to agree. It was one of the most varied, unpredictable concerts I've ever attended, interweaving orchestral arrangements with storming pop classics, Latin jazz with guitar-heavy rhythm and blues, and even an a cappella harmony and beatbox number. One masterstroke by Buckley in the first half was to follow Quincy's thunderous brass-heavy arrangement of I Can't Stop Loving You, a 1958 country number by Don Gibson, later popularized as a big band number by Ray Charles, with an acoustic performance of Jacob Collier's In the Real Early Morning, a sparse, haunting ballad. The moving performance marked a sharp change of direction for the show and left the audience in a stunned silence. London Jazz News described Collier's performance as spellbinding, saying, "This was an exercise in minimalism. You could hear a pin drop in the vast auditorium as this mere lad of 22 sang and played this lovely but difficult tune with a skill and sensitivity you could hardly credit." Buckley rounded off the first half with soul bossa nova, best known to many as the Austin Powers theme tune. The tune went down a storm with all quarters of the diverse crowd that had filled the ornate Royal Albert Hall. During the interval, my friend Angela and I spotted on Twitter that Laura Mvula had announced she would be performing a Michael Jackson number during the second half. As no other artist or film had been allowed more than one track on the set list so far, we assumed that her Michael song would be the only one of the evening, and began trying to guess which it would be. I said I hoped it wouldn't be anything from the Bad album. Angela looked appalled and said she really hoped it would be something from the Bad album. I countered that I hoped it would be You Can't Win from The Wiz, at which she flashed a defeated facial expression. As it turned out, we were treated to a trio of Michael Jackson tracks in the latter portion of the second half, all from the Thriller album. They began with an at first unrecognizable Human Nature, led by young Jacob Collier on piano and vocals. The orchestral arrangement was simply glorious, beginning incredibly subtly, but building to an exhilarating climax of swirling strings. It was a spine-tingling moment and left me feeling genuinely emotional. Human Nature segued into Billie Jean, which saw Collier and keyboard player Corey Henry scatting and beatboxing into dueling vocoders as they created their own human percussion to accompany drummer Martin Vink. It was a unique take on a ubiquitous and arguably overplayed song, but that original funky concept was quickly abandoned in favour of Henry simply slowly singing the lyrics through his vocoder. At that point the performance became slightly monotone and took too long to build to its orchestral crescendo, in my opinion. After an instrumental rendition of Money Runner from Quincy's Dollar movie soundtrack, Laura Mvula walked on stage clutching a white keytar and launched into a performance of Wanna Be Starting Something. I've never been a particular fan of that as a live number, as vocalists, including Michael on most occasions, usually struggle to keep pace and end up out of breath. Mvula seemed to be suffering the same fate during the early verses, but the song ultimately built to a rousing climax as Buckley turned his back to the orchestra and began conducting the audience, getting the 1,000-strong crowd to gleefully clap along at startling volume. Mvula looked dazzled by the spectacle, and it was joyous, as it had been at Hyde Park last year, to see such a large audience, not necessarily comprised of Michael Jackson fans, responding with such emphatic positivity to his music. As Wanna Be Starting Something came to a close, the man himself, Quincy Jones, emerged onto the stage to a rapturous standing ovation. He pointed out his friends, actor Michael Caine and thriller writer Rod Temperton in the audience, gave a short speech, and then conducted the orchestra in a final performance of Let the Good Times Roll, accompanied by all the night's guest stars, before exiting to a second standing ovation. It was a thrilling night, a rare chance to hear Michael Jackson's music performed by an orchestra, and an even rarer chance to glimpse Quincy Jones performing live on stage. Of course, no technology can ever properly capture the sound and experience of hearing this music played live in front of you, but the concert was filmed and audio recorded in its entirety, and both recordings are available to UK citizens on the BBC's website. For those of you outside the British Isles, I believe Jamin and Q are about to play you a recording of Jacob Collier's fantastic performance of Human Nature. Just don't tell the BBC.
We Be Doing It, fantastic arrangement by Vula Malinga, who we heard there with LaDonna Harley-Peters, Kenny Tinks, Brendan Riley, Wayne Hernandez and Jacob Collier doing his thing. And now to two tracks from Michael Jackson's Thriller, Human Nature and Billie Jean.
Looking out across the nighttime, the city winks a sleepless eye. Hear her voice shake my window, the sweet seducing sighs. Oh, get me out into the nighttime, for walls won't hold me tonight. If this town is just an outlaw, let me take a bite. If they say why, tell them that it's human nature. Why does it do me that way? Why? Tell them that it's human nature. Why? Does he do me that way? Looking out to the street, electric eyes are everywhere. See that girl, I'm not she's watching. She likes the way I stare. They say, why? Tell them that it's human nature. Why? Does it do me with my why? Tell them that it's human nature. Why? Does it do me? Oh, I'm a little this way. I'm a loving this way. Across the border, to pull down the city air. Hold me tonight, across the stadium. I'm giving all the street. I'm gonna say why? Tell me back to human nature. Why? Does it mean
Hi, this is Rob Hoffman, studio musician and engineer with Michael Jackson, and you're listening to the MJCast.
Wow, that's a huge honor for Quincy Jones. That's awesome. And I don't know about you guys, but have you guys listened to any of the Quincy Jones albums, his non-Michael work?
There's one that I've heard, Q's Juke Joint or something like that. Some 90s one.
Yeah. Because there's a PYT remix on there, right?
I think so. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've heard it.
What about you, Q?
I haven't got any at home, but sometimes we listen to, well, quite often actually, we listen to like digital radio stations and just stream music. And the station of choice we listen to at home is like an 80s station, and often there'll be like Quincy Jones stuff in that.
He I remember he did the some of the music that eventually went into the Kill Bill film. I think some of the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, he does a lot of film scores. He did the Austin Powers score. I'm sure you guys all know that. He's in it. I just discovered his body of work like maybe a year ago as a fan, and I think every Michael Jackson fan knows and loves and respects the incredible catalog of work Michael and Quincy have done together. But his own albums are incredible. And it was actually Brad Sundberg at one of his seminars talked about how when he tests a new sound system rig or setup, he actually uses a track called "The Places You Find Love" from one of Quincy's albums, and he played it for us on the system. And the album's from it's from the Back on the Block album, which is late 80s. So it's an older recording, but it just sounds amazing. And all of Michael's crew, the horn players, Bruce Swedian, Rod Temperton, these are all people that came to Michael through Quincy, Glenn Ballard, and they're not Michael Jackson albums. Obviously, they don't have Michael Jackson or Michael Jackson's writing, but they sound amazing. So if you guys are out there wanting to explore and expand your musical tastes, look into Quincy's albums. I've only done a handful of them from the 80s, and I'm sure the older, more jazz type ones are just as awesome, but explore them. They're amazing. He really is incredible.
That's so cool. I think, I'll have to get a link and check that track out.
What was it called again?
The track that Sundberg played for us, it was called "The Places You Find Love," and it has that whole album and the album before it too. There's a track called "I Know Corrida," a Spanish themed track, which Brad Sundberg also recommended. That just sonically, they're just incredible. The whole albums are incredible, and they just sound great on just the way Michael albums sound on a great sound system. And
how old are these tracks?
Hang on here. Let me get you the name of the first album. It's sort of slipped my mind. Back on the Block is the later album, so 89. So he probably started it right after the Bad era, I would guess. And then there's The Dude, which is from 1981, and that comes from probably just before the Thriller era. And they sort of the two albums sort of feel like Thriller and Bad, respectively. And Michael is actually a guest vocalist on the track "The Dude."
That's a good one. That's an amazing one.
But they're just great albums. They're not entirely relevant to the world of MJ, other than the fact that a lot of the crew that worked on the Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson collaborative albums worked on Quincy Jones's albums, and it's a fascinating sort of, I think, a history into that era. And we always associate Quincy Jones as Michael fans. We associate him as Michael Jackson's 1980s producer. And you hear from the Off the Wall documentary. I mean, I wasn't sort of alive for the jazz artist Quincy Jones in the 60s and 70s, and I haven't explored that body of work, the earlier jazz stuff. But it really does show you how interesting and unique it would have been in the late 70s for a pop act like Michael Jackson to work with a traditional jazz artist. And, he's proven himself as a major pop producer through Michael Jackson. But prior to that, he was not a contemporary sort of radio-friendly producer. And it's interesting.
That's sort of why there was a little bit of pushback, I think, from the record company when Michael said, "I want Quincy to do my album." And they were like, "Oh, I don't know if that would be the best because such different styles." And so, because he hadn't been able to branch out to pop just yet. I think it's incredible that songs of that vintage are getting used by sound engineers now to test their new rigs and things like that. Like something from completely different era of production and instruments is what people like Brad, use now. That blows my mind, and that says something about the production and the quality of stuff from back then.
I'm super into home audio I guess I shouldn't say audio production, but just home audio and experiencing music, as close as we can get it to the way that, it was the format in which it was created in the studio, and maybe hearing it the way, for example, Michael Jackson would have heard it when in the studio polishing his tracks. And I've asked Brad Sundberg a lot of questions about, because Brad Sundberg's post-Michael Jackson career was pretty much in setting up studios and setting up
audio systems,
high-end sound systems.
Yeah.
And he said, we all are massive Bruce Swidian fans. And Bruce Swidian was, Quincy Jones's engineer, I think for a big bulk of Quincy Jones's career. Bruce came to Michael Jackson through Quincy Jones. And any Bruce Swidian track is going to be amazing, no matter what era. And a recommendation Brad Sundberg had, I asked him about, what format, how there's a lot of people who argue, FLAC versus MP3 versus AAC versus CD versus vinyl in terms of audio formats. And I asked Brad Sundberg, what format does he recommend? And he believes that if the album if it's a Bruce Swidian engineered album, Bruce always thought about the end user, and Bruce was very insistent that everything be remixed for each format. So they mixed for vinyl, they mixed for tape. When CD came out, they mixed for CD. But their primary audience, and Bruce was always concerned about this, was, who's going to be hearing this and how are they going to be hearing it, in the 80s would have been a vinyl audience. And so a lot of attention was paid to how these tracks are going to play on vinyl. So I think out of respect for that, perhaps, maybe Brad was suggesting that vinyl would be the best way, the most original way to hear how Bruce would have intended it, because especially the pre-CD albums like Thriller and Bad, they may not have been mixed. Thriller and Off the Wall. They may not have been mixed for CD through Bruce. As far as Brad knows, they probably weren't. So the Quincy albums, you can listen to them in whatever format you want. They probably sound great, but it is interesting to hear that. It sort of got me into vinyl, and I've always had Michael's albums, but now I'm getting a lot of my favorite albums from that era on vinyl, and it is a different experience for sure.
On the walk back up to the hotel from having dinner, I actually stumbled across I don't know if it's new or if I've just never noticed it, this sort of vinyl CD store where they've got like secondhand CDs and vinyl, and I found Michael's section, of course, and they've got like a few 7 inches and then the few 12 inch, and I was like, cool. Like just in like the big ones, it was just Off the Wall and Bad. There was a Music and Me that was pretty cool.
Oh wow!
I think it was Music and Me, or was it Lady? Yeah, I think it was Music and Me. But yeah, in the 7 inch there was like a little Michael one from Motown era, and there was a Jermaine Jackson one.
Which shop was this? Rocking Horse? Which shop was this?
Yeah, Rocking Horse.
Yeah.
Is it new or is it?
No,
I've just never noticed it.
It's been there forever and ever and ever and ever.
Is that the one you always tell me to go in?
No, the one that I tell you to go into is literally I would say 40 meters, 50 meters away from Rocking Horse. You go to the end of that little street. So you're standing in front of King George Square, turn left, and I think it's Ann Street, and it's like 2 stores down. You go up some stairs, and it's an old record exchange, and it's like just all secondhand stuff. And there's the guy that owns it has a massive long beard, and you just ask him, dude, get your Michael Jackson stuff out of the back, and he comes out with this big box full of Michael memorabilia. You've got to do it one day when you're in Brisbane. You'll see stuff that you'll just go crazy over. But no,
you need to come to Brisbane. We'll do that together.
I'll take you there. He's got the craziest stuff. He's got like dolls from the 80s and like magazines from like Australian magazines talking about Michael coming to Australia to perform like the Bad tour, the History tour. That's where I bought my original Bad tour program.
Sweet.
Which I love. But yeah, Rocking Horse is really good too. That's cool that they've got vinyl there. I think I bought a One More Chance vinyl there in the day, actually, at that shop.
Ah, cool. Yeah, I can't believe I'd never noticed it before.
Yeah, that's cool. That's interesting to hear, James.
It's fun. It's those sort of things that, in this things have slowed down so much in the amount of output we're going to get from or within the world of Michael Jackson that I know for me as a fan, I sort of expand and stretch myself going into Quincy Jones's work, for example, which is definitely related to Michael Jackson and Michael Jackson's history. It is Michael Jackson's history in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I just started getting into the vinyl thing. I think what makes it, for me, a new and unique experience for being a Michael Jackson fan is so much about music has gotten, so much of the music experience has sort of shifted and changed in good ways and bad ways. But I think a lot of us probably listen to music on the go, in the car, on our headphones, while we're working out. It's not often you just put it on and just sit there and listen. And vinyl forces you to do that because, you can't put a LP player in your pocket and hit the road.
Maybe you can put on a skateboard and drag it behind you.
Definitely. So, and I think, when we were kids, and even sometimes still today, we might get the chance, but, if take the songs you love, even if it's not on vinyl, put them on, turn off the lights in the room, and just sit in the center, that bliss point for where your, speakers or whatever. If, a lot of people have headphones today and do that too. And just sit there and close your eyes and just listen. And that alone is a new old experience. And it's sort of like my own form of meditation. And if you don't do that, take some time and do that. Maybe it's a good way to celebrate Michael's birthday.
Yeah.
That sounds like the perfect way.
That's a great idea. I do that sometimes. And there's certain songs that just take you on that crazy journey. And I think for me, Earth Song is that one. Like if I'm alone in a room and the lights are off and I've got my earphones on, Earth Song is the one that my whole body will be covered in goosebumps when I do that. It's just incredible experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Earth Song. Will You Be There?
Yeah.
It's another one that it's very cathartic experience. It's amazing.
It used to be such an event when a Michael album first was released. For your first ever listen to it, you wanted to make sure you had the comfiest position, like really nice and quiet. You had your whatever your current best stereo of the day was, or your sound system, and you wanted to devote the time so there was no interruptions, and you wanted to be able to maybe listen to it as loud as you could, and then you're going to listen to it again with headphones to appreciate it a second listen. It used to be such an event. I remember sort of doing that with History and Invincible. When the first time you had the album in your hands at home, like, okay, this is the moment. I've been waiting years for this release, and you would get everything lined up. And I'm sure there's so many fans out there that was such an event for them, and they would have their little sort of moment of just doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. And some of that's, it's. Our circumstances and our technology have given us the opportunity to be far more portable with our music. But, I think we've forgotten the way that music was meant to be experienced. And it is that way. It's to just sit down and just absorb yourself into it. Like you're watching a movie.
Yeah.
I feel this conversation is one that Q and I have had a little bit on the show, and I think it's the case for all kind of Michael Jackson media, not just music, but in general, even video. Like now, you can be sitting on a bus, you can be on a train, you can be walking, you can be anywhere, and you can have a YouTube video open of any Michael Jackson video ever, pretty much. But in the day, it was such an experience to receive something in the post or whatever.
To see it on TV.
Yeah, when YouTube wasn't around.
TV.
And I guess it's the same as well with music. It's a different day and age. It's kind of like we've replaced that special moment of really sitting down and engaging with something like crazy with the convenience of having as much as we want whenever we want.
And even something physical, like holding something physical, like something, the best thing that many people won't even know about, like is an LP, is that holding the LP and opening it up, and the beautiful artwork, and the big booklet or what the actual LP is held in is so awesome. And then CD covers, that was so good. The smell, oh my god!
Yeah, there's a very unique vinyl LP smell that you just you don't get with anything else. Yeah, it's fun, and I've always been. I'm very sort of technical and data driven, and I have friends, especially online, who I've argued with in the past about the vinyl versus digital debate. And the truth is digital, raw digital, so not necessarily MP3, but CD is superior. But I think what woke me up was Mr. Sundberg's point, which was that they were if it was created during a vinyl era, it was meant to be heard on vinyl. Especially if it's someone like Bruce Swedian who is constantly considering how we're going to be interacting with it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to that, not just production, but the order of the tracks, because today, at least even CD is it's somewhat of an album experience, but now with digital files, it's shuffle and playlists, and
it's the ringtone era.
Listen to right, and which by the way, I'm not like an old man complaining about these things, because I'm probably the biggest consumer of them. I love them, but we're talking about art and sort of analyzing the art and respecting the art and appreciating the art. If it was explore it the way it was meant to be consumed when it was created, and if it's a new album, consume it in today's medium. If it's an old album, on occasion, appreciate and experience the way it was meant to be heard when it came out.
We're in the process of moving house, and I've packed up a good chunk of my library. I've made some amazing sort of MJ collection discoveries that I've sort of had put away in cupboards or boxes and not really been able to have out or sort of get into. But I haven't packed my vinyl collection yet, because I'm really nervous about packing it and how I'm going to pack it, and should I just transport it myself? Like, I've got a good little Michael collection that I haven't even got a LP player, so I can't even listen to it. Like, I've got like the This Time Round 12-inch vinyl that I've never heard, but I've only heard the mixes from YouTube, but I've never actually played that single that was never even released. I've got like white label mixes, and I've got Michael 12 inches and albums, and I've never even like listened to them.
Wow.
I have that one too, and actually I've never listened to it either, to be honest. Yeah, that's so funny.
Well, I will one day. Like, you can get like a little vinyl player. Like, I'm sure the quality of the sound isn't super, super amazing, but you can get like vinyl LP players like for quite decent price now, and they're quite common. Like, even in like the technology shops, there'll be all the stuff, the digital stuff, but then they'll be selling LP players, and I'm like, I really need to get one.
Yeah, there's a, I don't know if it's still ongoing. I feel like it is. There's a huge resurgence in it, and there's a, you can go to any electronic shop now and buy an LP player, which you wouldn't have been able to 5-10 years ago.
It was it's I think the fastest growing music format in the last couple of years. So it's doing gangbusters.
Yeah, and actually I read an article that is one of the best ways to support the artist, because on total side track, but if there's an artist you love, because a lot of times the way their record deals are put together, the vinyl is considered merchandise, not an album. Isn't that hilarious? Where it's called the record business, and it's gotten so, we call them records, an LP. The technology has come so far that like they're not even considered records anymore. They're considered merchandise, and I guess they usually get a bigger cut out of the merchandise sale than they would,
and quite,
CD sale.
And quite often when I buy a lot of music direct from sort of artists' websites, I guess, and quite often when you do that and you go to actual artists' stores, they've got great packages where you can get maybe like a vinyl and a T-shirt and like a sticker pack or something, like a set of something, which I think really supports the artist as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
sorry
so
for this
cool.
giant distraction, guys. So point is, if you're looking for a new Michael Jackson experience, get at least The Dude. Quincy Jones's The Dude. Get Quincy Jones's Back on the Block. They're great albums, and they feel almost like Michael albums, and you'll have a great experience with them. You'll enjoy them. They're great stuff.
Yeah, well, that's one of the best parts about being a Michael Jackson fan, I think, is exploring those, collaborators that worked with him and their own work as well, to see what they brought to the table when they worked with Michael. It's a lot of fun, and one of those collaborators actually is putting on a pretty special event coming up soon in Brooklyn, in New York, to celebrate Michael Jackson's birthday. So it's Spike Lee's 6th annual Michael Jackson block party, Brooklyn Loves MJ. It's happening August 27th, actually, so pretty soon. It's between...
Before this show goes to air.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know. I was thinking about releasing a bit earlier than we said, but we can chat about that. But yeah, between Lexington Avenue and Quincy Street, ironically, in Brooklyn, 12 till 6 p.m. And, of course, the DJ that'll be putting on this event is DJ Spinner. So it'll be a fantastic, fantastic show. Lots of great Michael Jackson songs being remixed and played for you there. So I hope people get to go to that, because it's always, one of the biggest and best Michael Jackson events of the year. Spike Lee does a great job with it.
I always love seeing the footage and pictures that come out of the Brooklyn Loves MJ event every year. It's just awesome. I'd love to be that white boy out there dancing in Brooklyn, sticking out like a sore thumb, and just, being so at one with everyone and the music. It'd be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want about Spike Lee, and like he's, I don't know, the documentaries that he's put out, some people love him, some people don't like him, whatever. But you got to admit that like doing this every year, 6 years in a row, is an amazing thing to celebrate his legacy, and he just does a great job.
I'm going one of these years. It's inexcusable that I haven't yet, because it's I always said I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Can't go this year. I will go next year. I have to. I will.
All right. We'll do a live cross.
Yes.
You guys come too. We'll all go. We'll be live from Brooklyn Loves MJ.
Live from next year, got some other travel plans, so I'm not sure if the budget would stretch to New York as well. But yeah, maybe one year I'll try and key it up that I'm there at the right time.
We have to do that sometime, Q. We have to do a live from something MJCast at some point.
I've got a tip from my mate Aiden of what microphone I could use to sort of record out in the field with.
Yeah.
So I love the artwork.
Yes.
Have you seen like the poster work and the banner ads they're doing for it? Oh my God, it's so simple and just brilliant, just perfect. Probably the best, I reckon, some of the best artwork he's had for this whole event over the years.
I think so. It keeps getting better all the time. And that's something you're a bit of an expert in, aren't you, James? Marketing.
Oh, I wouldn't say expert. It's the career path that I guess you could say I've chosen. Yes, I work in marketing. Yeah. But I like the I think the social component to Brooklyn Loves MJ, and I bet I haven't been to see what happens on the street there, but I bet you the street campaign for I mean, it always looks packed. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone in that community looks like they come out for it over there. And I bet you it's just a lot of fun. I bet you there's a lot of love. I love the footage that I see from it, and I think it's really. I think what makes Spike Lee's work so important for the fan community and just the community as a whole. Really, it's for, and forgive me for saying this because I don't know if this is directly his mission, but it seems to me that it's important for Spike to honor Michael Jackson as a prominent, proud member of the Black American community in America.
Yeah,
definitely.
And it's so relevant and so important, and I think Michael would appreciate it in a lot of ways. That there has been no community more loyal and faithful and true to Michael Jackson, outside the Michael Jackson fan community, of course, than the Black American community. And I think it's just a beautiful thing. It's very touching to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that as well. It's so important.
And his work with Michael, I guess, as well reflects that. And I hope we get to see more from Spike. He films a lot of these events, and I remember actually I think it was in the credits of the Off the Wall documentary that he actually had footage from a previous Brooklyn Love MJ show, I think.
Yeah, the ending has this like rap poem thing that
I liked it.
The lemon guy.
So
what was his
weird.
name? Lemon.
It is so cool. It is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, completely irrelevant to Off the Wall, but but like, you know, it's so cool. I can see why you put it in there. It's I bet you the amount of love. I mean, I know the amount of love there is overwhelming because it is just seeing it at a distance. But I bet you it's just an overwhelming, beautiful, loving crowd. It'd be great to see. A lot like the crowd. I've been to Gary for the birthday celebrations, and I bet you it's a lot like that. A lot of spirit is probably there.
Which year did you go to Gary?
2010.
Oh, great.
So I don't know if it is one of the bigger ones or not, but it was definitely fresh, and Catherine and the kids were there. And I'm from the Chicago area originally, and so every time I go back to visit family in Chicago, I always make a stop at 2300 Jackson Street. And it really is the community there. It hasn't had its best years recently, and I think they cling to the Jacksons and Michael Jackson as a major source of inspiration for them. And I don't know if you guys. It sounds like you probably have been there, right, Q?
I haven't been to the house, but I've sort of driven through Gary by accident. There was freeway works, and there was a detour, and the signage wasn't great, and the road network wasn't even that great to try and follow, and we sort of ended up circling through Gary twice. But we were on our way to Chicago. We're going to Indianapolis, and we were sort of on a schedule, so we couldn't then bust out the nav system and try and figure out where the house was. So I only drove through Gary.
Yeah, I mean, seeing their home, 2300 Jackson Street, seeing the street they grew up on, it's very deprived now, but you could tell even in its glory years. I mean, this house is, at least by American standards, so small. It's unbelievable that all those kids, and Catherine and Joseph, crammed into this house. And I imagine if you were a kid growing up in that community today, and all the hardships you probably see every single day in your life there, I imagine the fact that the biggest, most famous, brilliant artists in history grew up in your neighborhood sort of removes the ceiling that society would otherwise impose on you, and you definitely feel that when you're there for the birthday celebration, that like if he can do it, if they can do it, the Jacksons can do it, we can do it. There really is no ceiling or boundaries to who we can become, and it's inspiring. It's definitely inspiring.
As an MJ fan, what does it feel like for you personally to actually see that house? Like, what sort of feelings did you get?
Well, it's first of all, it's sort of funny that I'm sure a lot of fans know that there's this granite laser engraved monument in front of the house. That one of the images on the monument is actually of a impersonator tribute artist.
Is that the E. Casanova picture?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it's total aside, but it's kind of funny. It's the most well kept house on the block, and there's a house for sale next to it, and I've always sort of dreamed. And it's been for sale forever. I have no idea what the asking price is or anything, but I've always like sort of dreamed one day if I'm like really rich or something, I'm going to buy that house and turn it into like a little Jackson's museum or something. It'd be a lot of fun. But
that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it really is an amazing, inspirational thing to see, because the Michael especially is so larger than life, and especially as time goes on and we realize more and more how irreplaceable he truly is, he becomes more legend-like. But he was just a kid. He was one of, was it 7 kids, 8 kids? How many kids in the Jackson family?
8 originally.
You know, forgive me for saying this, but he was a black kid in a black neighborhood, especially in the 60s. There was only so far you could go. And he went so far beyond that. And he broke every limitation. And I don't particularly have the same limitations he had, but we all have our limitations, and I have limitations that are imposed on me or I impose on myself. And to know that you can come from total poverty and become the biggest thing on the planet, if that's your goal, you can do it, because he did it. And I assure you, his opposition is probably far worse than my opposition today. And it's important. And I think like Michael has always had the sense that he is, I think that he is speaking to audiences, that he's a member of the black community. And I think it's taken, a lot of that is taken away from him, whether it's because of his unfortunate circumstance with vitiligo and his skin color, whether it's record executives who believe he's more marketable, especially maybe posthumously, as I think racial identity plays a major role in how Michael is presented to us, to the mainstream audiences at least. And I mean, forgive me for saying this, but the estate acts like Michael Jackson died in 1991, because apparently nothing happened after that in his career, even though it's his most prolific and profound and self-respective work. Songs like They Don't Care About Us. Look at our look at the news today, these last several years. Michael was speaking to these issues that minorities in America face today. He's speaking to them 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago. They don't care about us should be the theme to Black Lives Matter. I mean, it is the Black Lives Matter song.
It's sort of become internationally, like you've seen it chanted in the streets of not only the US now, but even like over in Europe and like over across in London. And I cannot imagine how Michael would have felt seeing his song, his lyrics being chanted through the streets in defiance and in protest. And, you know, even Heal the World after horrific like massacres, you know, there's videos of people singing Heal the World.
Yeah.
That has become an anthem now. And that's from like 1991. It's incredible that they're finally seeing the light of day in the way that they should have been before.
And, you know, we talk about for me, this is the most important component. You know, we're talking about celebrating Michael's legacy, right? I think Michael's social consciousness was so profound, and we are so missing that today. You know, when have we had a social anthem? There's no shortage of superstars today. You know, we're going to talk about Rihanna winning the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award, and I know the award isn't about social responsibility, but I know artists like Rihanna certainly care about the issues we're facing, but where are the songs? Where are the social anthems?
Is that why you think Beyonce's Lemonade album and some of her recent tracks caused such a stir? Because there really is no one using their voice at the moment. Do you think that's why in America it was such a shock? Like, whoa, hang on,
I know.
She's black.
The Super Bowl
She's black,
performance
and the Super Bowl. That was
people.
Yeah, what the hell?
I think politically we are in a very polarized society where it's sort of, I think it's dangerous to have an opinion if you are a celebrity, if you're a superstar. I mean, going back to, you know, the Dixie Chicks, if you remember their comments.
Oh, yeah.
About, which I feel like today would be totally, you know, totally validated. I mean, not to express my personal opinion, but I feel like they were sort of ahead of the curve of what would eventually become the general accepted consciousness about what was going on. And, you know, I think if you are a major pop act, and this could be because of the labels and the marketing people and the record executives saying, look, you can't be polarizing. You can't make issue songs. Look at Macklemore, who had a phenomenal issue song. I mean, all his songs are songs with great social messages. But look at Same Love, which I guess you could consider a social anthem. Look at the effect it had. People always tell me, you know, not always, but people say, you know, oh, you think ads really work, or you think your ads really work. I can tell you the amount of data and science that goes into writing and creating the perfect ad, and how a headline or how a simple word change will dramatically affect the way people respond, get out their wallets, and buy. Ads work. Therefore, messages work. How could you know, we sit here and say a hokey Heal the World song, or a hokey, you know, marriage equality, Same Love song doesn't have an effect on people? They do, a massive effect. And you know, is Same Love directly responsible for marriage equality passing? Not directly, but our most progressive state in the U.S., California, in 2008, voted down marriage equality. If California wasn't going to pass it, no one was going to pass it. This was in 2008. By 2012, a majority of the country supported marriage equality, a massive shift in 4 years. And then, of course, by 2015, last year, it was completely legal, and the issue seems almost ridiculous because it's so over and such old news, and everything is great, and it happened, and, you know, the world moves on, and it's actually a better place, not a worse place. But what happened in those 4 years where it went from a losing issue to a winning issue? We had songs like Same Love. We had characters like Kurt from Glee. We had, we had the entertainment industry, or I should say the artists in the entertainment industry, vocalize and communicate and express their feelings on those issues. And it created profound, real change. So for the world to be missing an artist like Michael Jackson, who constantly talked about social issues and constantly talked about the plight of the planet, childhood and the importance of childhood,
parents and how they raise their kids and things like that.
And the fact that we're missing that today in music, I mean, that could be a terrible, terrible regressive, non-progressive, regressive change to the art form.
Yeah.
And I think all of us, I've never met a Michael Jackson fan who does not share those values. I mean, we were shaped by them, and they were massive hit songs. The whole world, in some way, was shaped by them. So that's his legacy. And to the superstar acts, if there's any artists listening to this show, you've been inspired by his. You've been inspired by his dance moves. You've been inspired by his videos. You've been inspired by his fashion. Be inspired by his messages, and do that, because
that is the legacy. That is the legacy. The music is just the form in which it was delivered.
Yeah, for sure.
The last song I can think of in that vein, on the scale that Michael Jackson would have done it, that I loved, was Prince's Baltimore. And
to me, that didn't, like, that was an incredible song, but to me, the scale of it was small.
I don't know, man. I've listened to that today, and it just soars. Like, I just think it's incredible. And I guess I raise it because I agree that there's just not a lot of artists doing that kind of thing, and that stands out as a real diamond in the rough for me.
But sadly, it didn't get like mainstream attention.
No,
it didn't. And now that I think about it, like, I think I've, in the last 5 minutes, literally figured out what's going on. And there is a lot of artists the last few years, this sort of how do I say it? Like
independent artists?
The self-motivational theme, songs like Sarah Bareilles' Brave, songs like Katy Perry Roar. There's a lot of these, like, pick yourself up, you can do it, inspirational type songs, which are great, and there's definitely a need for that. And I think not to say that it's a business that's run by, marketers, but it is. Every business is. I think they found that as a safe, non-polarizing thing to talk about. Katy Perry Rise, she's got her latest single. It's just sort of, it's more of a micro, almost self-centered approach to social messages, rather than a wider approach to political injustice. Or, I mean, there's not, these artists are amazing artists. I mean, they are very talented and they're great. I mean, the songwriting quality today is amazing in a lot of artists. The problem is, I think, the messages, and perhaps it's that they're not allowed having those messages because they're not corporately and commercially viable. I mean, like, literally the ice caps are melting and we are drowning in water and we are losing major cities. And that has not inspired not one artist to write a song about that. Of course it has. Someone out there is doing it. And it's probably not because they're bad songs. They're just not marketable songs because of the politics today. It's a shame.
Huge shame. Huge shame. Money rules everything.
Yeah, it does. And that's and the brilliance to Michael was that he, when I was, how old was I when songs like Black or White came out? I don't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I do generally, but like, it's just a great song. It's just a cool video. It's just he crafted deep messages within very superficially attractive packages. And there were Trojan horses,
They were total Trojan horse. Oh my God.
That's a great way to put it.
That is so perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet Elizabeth and Karen of the MJAS, they would just be like, oh my God, that's so right.
Yeah. MJAF. What's that?
MJAS, that's the Michael Jackson Journal of Academic Studies. They do a great little podcast as well called Dream Lives On. And yeah, they would be.
I've been meaning to check that one out. So that's kind of stuff I love the most. I love that. I mean, it's constant surprise when you learn. I mean, there's so many examples, a lot of which I don't know if like fans have talked about, and I don't want to get anything wrong or repeat something that maybe this podcast has already covered. But constant surprise. Here's a little funny story, and it kind of relates to the topic we're talking to about the Black American community and Michael Jackson. So one day I'm in my car listening to NPR, and I'm not even really listening to it. It's just on. And there's a song that plays. It was a program, believe it or not, about Black music in America. And they play this song comes on, and it is the melody from Will You Be There? I'm like, what? And it's this old time song, and it's called Bless You for Being an Angel. And it was a 1939 hit by a group called the Ink Spots. And the melody in Will You Be There's verse, in my opinion, is directly inspired by this 1939 track. And so what is this track? This track is considered the first national hit. I believe it was a number one hit by a Black artist in America. And
now, there's no way Michael would not have known that. That would have been in his research and his delving into history. He would have definitely discovered and been inspired by that.
Certainly. And I'm not suggesting, and definitely listen, it's on YouTube, find Bless You for Being an Angel. I'm not suggesting Michael stole it. Michael planted it within Will You Be There. It's not there because he stole the melody or he plucked the melody. He planted it in there as a tribute and acknowledgement of his roots. He was here where he is today in that moment because of artists like the Ink Spots.
Those that came before him, those that paved the way for him as a kid in Gary to aspire to be something bigger and the greatest.
How about this? This is something I'm not sure has been talked about. And I don't want to say it's an independent discovery, but I was playing a track called People of the World. Obviously, everyone knows that. Michael Jackson, not everyone knows that, but anyone on this podcast, listening to this podcast, probably knows People of the World, an unreleased Michael Jackson song. I was playing it for a good friend of mine named Jennifer, who's just a casual Michael Jackson fan. And she goes, this is Sukiyaki. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, no, this is People of the World. He goes, no, it's a Japanese song called Sukiyaki. So I'm like, oh, you mean we all know that People of the World was written by Michael Jackson created a demo, but for, 2 decades, all we knew of it was the J Friends, the Japanese pop group who recorded People of the World. So I thought at first she was familiar with the J Friends version. So I played that. She goes, no. This is Sukiyaki. So I look up Sukiyaki on YouTube, and undoubtedly Sukiyaki they share the same thing as like Will You Be There. The melodic component in the verse is nearly identical. And so what's Sukiyaki? Sukiyaki was the first. It was a 1960s hit in America. I don't know if it was a huge hit, but in Japan, it is a massive song. Crowds sing it at baseball games, like the way we sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" in America, and they sing this song called Sukiyaki, and it's a great melody. And so this is all speculative on my part, but perhaps Michael knew the song would end up being sung by a Japanese act, and he incorporated this famous Japanese melody into the song. And lo and behold, a year or two later, a couple months ago, a YouTube video, someone posted a video on YouTube of rare footage from Michael Jackson's visit in Japan in 2007. And he's doing a photo shoot with a bunch of kids. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the video I'm talking about. And the video catches Michael talking to these kids about Sukiyaki. He goes, my favorite. He says something like, he goes, do you guys know Sukiyaki? And all the kids are like, yeah. He's like, that's my favorite.
Wow.
I'm assuming favorite Japanese song. So, it's speculative to suggest that Michael took Bless You for Being an Angel and Will You Be There. It's speculative to suggest that Michael took Sukiyaki and planted Sukiyaki into People of the World. But, there's a lot of evidence to sort of say he was doing that. And that kind of mystery and the debate that could spark and the sort of scholarship and studying that we could be doing on his genius. I mean, it could take, I'm not kidding you, centuries of study to sort of figure out what the hell are in these songs and in these videos and in these words and in these lyrics and in these melodies. Who knows the mysteries and surprises that are in store? It could be incredible.
It breaks my heart that we can't ask Michael these exact questions. That just like the amount of knowledge and thought and the depth of his art, we'll never get to the bottom of it now, ever. And even when he was around, that no one ever tried to when he was around, because no one was even aware of it, really.
They were too busy asking about his nose.
That's it. I feel like I'm getting schooled by Brad Sundberg or something here. I feel like I'm in class. Man, James, this is awesome.
I actually feel really, really, really terrible.
Why?
And I hope you guys edit this away now.
No, our audience love long shows. Trust me, that came back in our feedback.
I'm so ADD that we're talking about Sukiyaki from Spike Lee. How the hell did we get down this path? I apologize.
No, it's all good. You're schooling us, and I reckon a lot of people are going to be like loving this. And this is, like learning stuff and educating. That's sort of a big part of what we try and bring. And that's why we get different people on, because it opens up new windows and new vistas for us as well as the listeners. So it is awesome and it is cool.
And it's all. I mean, so much. It's opinion. It's speculation. It's it's always important to me that we separate speculation from fact. Every fact we've ever uncovered in humanity has always begun as speculation. But this isn't all. It's not from me. This is. Conversations I've had with you guys. Conversations I've had with people like Damien and Damien Shields, and I could name other people, but I sort of want to respect people's privacies and not name drop them on these podcasts. But you know who you are out there. This is what we talk about. This is the other part of Michael's amazing legacy is, what he's done for us as a fan community. I think, I don't know what he saw us as, and Certainly he knows the connection he has to us. He certainly knows the connection we have to him. But I think he would be so proud to know the connection we have to each other.
Yeah.
In terms of us as fans and our friendship and our camaraderie and our community. That is, I think if he was aware of it, and especially if he could see it today, my God, he would. I think he would be so proud and so happy to know how much we all love each other, and the friendships we all have. It's amazing. So that's where this comes from. All this stuff, like this is just what we talk about as fans.
That's the point of the show.
That's the whole point of the show, and it's a discussion as well as news show. So yeah, speculation and opinion. That is us. That is what this is. So.
Music is everything to me. I love the fact that you can write something, create something, and it can affect people. It can bring happiness. It can bring joy. It can inspire. It can change the world. That's why I love it. I work day and night and day, but that's what it takes. I'm excited for this journey. So in this series, I invite you to follow me all around the world and get to know me as I set out to hit the main stage. Take care of each other. And remember, always believe.
Hey, I'm Lavelle Smith Jr. Thanks for joining us on the MJCast.
Well, there we go. That's Tyrell Jackson's Best of All Time, a beautiful tribute song to his Uncle Michael. You can pick it up on the Undeniable album on iTunes. It came out on August 29th, 2012. You also just heard a little promo clip, a trailer that can be found on Tyrell Jackson's Instagram and YouTube account and website as well. He's got a new project coming out really soon that we're very, very excited about, and you could hear some of the new music from that project just in that clip. Look, I really encourage you to go to tyrell.com. He's got so much information on there about his new EDM project. It's incredibly exciting. We can't wait for it to hit, and we'll be keeping all eyes on Tyrell.
You've been to Brad Sundberg's in the studio with MJ before, haven't you, James?
Yes, a couple times, yeah.
A couple? Damn, lucky man. Awesome. Hopefully we here in Australia will get our chance in January in 2017. So I'm hoping that I'll have the budget to attend that myself, and hopefully you'll be around as well, Jamin.
Yeah, the plan is to hopefully do that. There's a chance I might be over in China, so we'll see what happens.
Hopefully not.
Sister-in-law's getting married, so...
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess you can't miss that. But,
hopefully the stars align.
Hopefully. Have you seen the new promo video for the seminars?
Yes, actually I have. And there's a little special something going on in the background.
Speaking of like songs that people might not know about, I hadn't heard of this song before.
Me neither. I'd never heard of it. It sounds pretty cool. I like it.
It's just, it's bare bones. It's just like a very basic demo, like sounds.
But it's got a vocal track. I mean, there's a million Michael songs and demos out there with no vocal. So I was really excited to hear it because it has a vocal. And
did you see this promo video, James, and pick up on this track playing in the background?
Man, well, I saw it. I didn't even know about it until you had prepared the notes for me to prepare for this podcast.
Oh, cool.
And so oh my God, those vocals, like, holy crap. And I feel like I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've heard the title existing before. Yeah, it's so surprising. I know, like, it's been a few years since I've been to I've been to two. I've been to an LA one. I went to the sort of MJ birthday week LA one in 2014, and then I went to the first Toronto one, which I think would have been 2013. And
shout out to our Canadian listeners.
Yes.
Have a maple latte for me, thank you.
Love Canada. I'm married a Canadian.
I love it. It was beautiful there.
But there were very similar shows. I know it's evolved. Seminars. I shouldn't be calling them shows. I guess they've evolved a lot since then. So I'd love to check out the more contemporary seminars. And when he would play, I don't know if I should be talking about this. I'll be very vague. But there were moments where he asked us not to talk about some of the stuff he was playing. I don't know if that was for... I don't know what the reason is for that. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But when he would, it'd always be, I shouldn't say not exciting, but it was never like stuff, oh my God, you never knew existed. So for him to do this in a video, of all things, to play a totally unheard of track is super interesting, which makes me really wonder what he plays at these seminars today, because he might be playing all sorts of stuff, and the audiences might be doing a really good job at sort of keeping
it quiet. Well,
keeping it private. Yeah,
his newer seminars, I mean, the ones that are coming up are called Brad ×2, which means Brad Buxer. So he's doing these current seminars with Brad Buxer, with Michael Prince, with people that we know have a lot of unreleased Michael material that they recorded very late in his career. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's things being played that are pretty jaw-dropping. I don't know that for sure, but now would be a special time to be going.
Yeah, and good on the audience for keeping it on the DL if that's what they're doing. Although I would love to know. I respect the fact that they're not sort of spreading it. So that's cool.
Yeah. New music coming from another member of the Jackson family, Tarrell Jackson, singer of 3T and music producer. He's relaunching his career, I guess. It's still a solo career, solo artist. He's had solo albums before, but his new stuff seems to be coming out under just the name Tarrell rather than Tarrell Jackson. You can go to tarrell.com to see what his new website looks like, his new image, new look, new music, new videos, all kinds of stuff. There's really, really cool stuff there.
Beard is looking hot, Tarrell, by the way.
The beard is good. The beard is good.
Yeah, good look, man. Good look. Handsome as...
Sure. He looks great.
Handsome AF.
And I'm really excited for this. Like, the new music's taking a different direction. It's got a more electronic flavor rather than sort of R&B pop stuff. And it's really cool.
I love it. Can I just say, like, in regards to what we were discussing earlier about messages in song and stuff?
Yeah.
The Jacksons in general have all tried to, or not tried, they all have had social conscious messages embedded in their music. And I can see that in this very early stage of the Tarrell stuff.
Yeah.
Like love and look out for each other and togetherness. And that is coming through just in these little tiny snippets that we're getting of the EP. And I think it's such a rare thing, and I think it's awesome. Awesome. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I'm really looking forward to hearing these tracks in full.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I am so excited.
And there's more than just music coming. Like, he's got a docuseries coming out, I think, called Road to the Main Stage.
Yeah, it could be like a maybe YouTube sort of exclusive little series. That looks really cool.
I'm really excited for it because I know that he's, not just a great singer and musician, but technically, like in terms of the technicality of music, he's an incredible producer, an amazing producer. He produced the unreleased 2010 version of She Was Lovin' Me. And, the rock sort of heavy one.
Yeah,
and
that's a really good version.
Yeah, he's incredible. And even just some of that footage in the TV show they put out. What was the TV show called again?
Jackson's Next Generation.
Yeah, in Jackson's Next Generation. Like, the stuff in that of him, tinkering away on his Mac and producing his brothers. Like, man, he's cool. So I'm excited to see if some of that's in the docuseries. I hope it is. And interestingly, if you go to the website and explore that, there's shops and things like that on there as well where you can buy stuff. But there's a page that says that he's got a podcast coming soon.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what that's going to be.
Yeah. Like, I mean, what could it be? Is it going to be a show about 3T, about their journey? Is it going to be a show about him and his journey, or...
Is it the show that we'll be talking about later, the Power of Love radio show? Is it that?
I don't know. I mean, like, because I haven't heard that yet. So I'm not really sure if that's
not really... Yeah, is this going to be even music related, or will it be that Power of Love show?
Who knows?
It's cool that we're sort of guessing and talking about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's plenty of room in the podcast space for more Jacksons to do stuff. So...
if it's a music, that would be really cool, because I think we saw in the docuseries Jackson's Next Generation just Tarrell's thirst for music and for creativity, and his sort of frustration with the hiatus that 3T was experiencing.
Yeah,
and he just wanted to get in the studio. He was so hungry to get back in the studio and to create music and to continue their sort of art. And they did chapter 3, which was fantastic. So you can just see his thirst. To me, I reckon Tarrell would be the kind of bloke where, he's such an artist that there's just music in his head all the time. Like, he's just so creative that he just needs to get it out and have that outlet.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. This, like, you know, electronic dance music chapter that he's about to launch, you know, it's probably been brewing in him for so long that now he's going to get it out. And, yeah, I'm so excited for him, and I'm really looking forward to hearing it. I'm really, going to be a big supporter of it, I reckon.
What do you guys think about him dropping the name Jackson?
It's been sort of done before. LaToya she did a song called, oh my God, I'm having a complete meltdown in my brain. I can't think of the name of the song, but it was actually a really good song. And she launched it in clubs as Toy. It wasn't LaToya. It wasn't LaToya Jackson. It was just Toy. I'm pretty sure. I hope I'm getting these facts right.
I've heard a story that when Janet released the Janet Period album in the early 90s, and I don't know, this is just might be speculation and rumor and tabloidy stuff, but I've heard that Michael was really angry about that the name Jackson wasn't on there. And I don't know, like, it just struck me as like, I mean, obviously they're very, very proud Jacksons, and nothing's ever going to change that. But I'm just wondering whether it's a legal thing, or like, is it a thing where it's like, I'm going to market myself differently from my other Terrell Jackson solo stuff? I'd love to ask him about it.
I think in some ways the name probably became unfairly so, completely unfairly so, like a curse as well as a gift. But
Definitely.
Not because of anything that they did at all. Nothing from their art or from them personally. It was the media that tarnished that name.
Well, they're going. It's not. I mean, there's definitely that tarnished component, but it's just you want to talk about something other than the fact that you're a Jackson. And I imagine if you're Terrell Jackson and perhaps you're doing an interview, all they're going to want to talk about is the fact that you're a Jackson. Austin Brown is a good example of sort of a Jackson, Terrell's cousin, Reeby's kid, who can sort of turn on and off the Jackson component of his lineage at will, so to speak. And he's super talented. And from some of the stuff I've seen, like interviews and articles, they mention the Jackson legacy, but they don't focus on it. And it's probably a lot easier for him because it's not his name, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can totally understand why Terrell would want to do that. It's an ownable name. I mean, there's no other big Terrell,
Yeah,
just like there's no other big Janet or no big LaToya. You can just be Terrell and be known as Terrell, and yeah.
Interesting.
It's cool and exciting, and I can't wait for his music, and it sounds awesome. So bring it on.
Bring it on, totally. We'll have to mark our calendars. Segue.
Oh man.
Can I just say, like, packing up all my Michael stuff, I never realized how many Michael calendars I've got over the years in my collection.
Do you really?
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, cool. This is a heavy stack of calendars. I better make sure I don't bend. Oh, hang on. There's more. Oh, actually, here's another little padded envelope full of, what is it? A3 size calendars. Oh man. Okay. I used to collect them and I used to hang them on the walls.
I've never been a big calendar guy.
Oh man, but the pictures they used to have in them.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I'll have to buy 2 of this, and there were some actually still in plastic, unwrapped. That I'll have to get 2 of this so I can later cut it up and use these as in frames, because the artwork and the pictures they used to put out in them were incredible, and some of them were really quite rare photos of really old photo shoots, or even if it was like photo shoots for like the history era, they were different shots that we hadn't seen before that they used to put in the calendars.
Wow.
So yeah, I still wonder what I'm going to do with this damn big stack of Michael Jackson calendars. And I used to be really angry when you'd go and the Danny Yellow ones and the official ones were usually pretty good, but you'd see all the cheap ones out in the calendar shops at the end of the year, and they'd have like really bad quality photos. There was even some years where there'd be like E. Casanova or impersonators in there, and you go, and I remember once going up to the lady at the stand going, you shouldn't be selling this. This picture isn't Michael Jackson. And she's looking at it. She goes, looks like Michael Jackson. What are you on about? I was like, it's not even him. And I'd get so angry. God, why are you selling this piece of crap?
That's so funny.
Okay, sorry, segue.
No, that's fine. Well, we've got a new one coming, right? Like a 2017.
Yeah, they do it every year. They still release an official Michael Jackson calendar every year. Next year, the 2017 one, its theme is dangerous. Yeah. So
and it's a little bit like, I think the calendar thing's interesting because seeing new calendars, it's a little bit like you can read the tea leaves of potential products that might be coming out officially from the estate and Sony.
Well, not really, because the history themed calendar was the only history anniversary product that they released for the anniversary. So I wouldn't be reading too much into those tea leaves.
That's right. But you can, the one before the history one, there was a bad one. There was an off the wall one, and pretty much the calendars that come out, products come out soon after, except history. That's the only one where there hasn't been. When the bad calendar came out, it was Bad 25. When Off the Wall came out, a little bit later, it was, the Off the Wall stuff. History didn't, and now we have a dangerous one. And coincidentally, this year is the 25th anniversary of that album.
This year being 2016.
Yeah, so like
the calendar for 2017.
But that got me thinking, right? So like the calendars often, and correct me if I'm wrong, but don't calendars include months from the year before as well sometimes? Like,
but not often, and it doesn't have a big impact on it.
No, but people buying here's my thoughts, and I'm probably being way too optimistic here, but my thoughts are that most people that are going to be buying calendars are going to be buying them in the months before the new year. So like, November, December, maybe October, leading up to Christmas, maybe as Christmas presents, but for the purpose of having them for the next year. So if they release Dangerous in the 25th year, celebration year,
being this
year, at the end of this year, it would be roughly at the same time that people will be out buying calendars. So I think it's evidence potentially to say that there's a Dangerous product coming at the end of this year.
Maybe they're going to release like the history anniversary album in 2017 with some crayons attached.
Yay.
Or marbles, because like there's a stone statue on the cover, so they'll put some marbles with the history anniversary release, which will be late. Maybe.
Or maybe a little plastic history statuette that Diana Wolsak has nothing to do with at all and doesn't even look like
it's actually just a painted Action Man figure or something.
I don't think they're going to reissue Dangerous, and here's why. For one, I think the Sony deal is over. I don't think I again, speculative, but I think Michael Jackson is currently an unsigned artist, and the deal in 2010 was a 10 project deal. This Is It was retroactive. It was a 10 project 7-year deal, so that would make this the final year. Off the Wall 25 came out, and I mean it was a mere obligation, no additional tracks. There was the documentary, which was cool, but that had a TV deal with it, so that was how that was going to make money. They had no intention on making any money off the Off the Wall album. It was just, I believe, an indication that they were trying to fulfill the contract. And then what happened a mere month or two after Off the Wall came out, the ATV catalog was sold. And again, speculative, and please don't take this as like conspiracy or anything, but the catalog traditionally is valued at $1 billion. It sold for Michael's half, traditionally valued at $1 billion. It sold for $750 million. You add in the $250 million from the 2010 deal, you're at $1 billion. I think this whole ATV deal was orchestrated 7 years ago, bundled with Michael Jackson's posthumous record deal. That's my opinion. I don't think he's currently a signed act, which doesn't mean they can't release Dangerous as a one-off deal like they did with Thriller 25. But that's my thought.
So does that mean that if a label wanted to, they could just swoop in and sign that and then have their own releases?
how it traditionally works is there's the record deal, and that record deal sort of relates to your new projects, and then that record deal usually defines the ownership of the masters of those albums. So, for example, I don't know if this is still the case for Mariah Carey, but Mariah Carey left Sony over 15 years ago, and I don't know if it's still currently the case, but up until pretty recently, Sony controlled the masters on all of Mariah Carey's Sony albums. So Mariah Carey's new albums would be with Island or Def Jam, but any of the old albums that were re-released would still, of course, be released through Sony up until a certain point. And then after that point is reached, the artist is free to take their old works, the masters, quote unquote, and shop those to a new label. Which the Sony deal that was signed when Michael was alive, back in 90 or 91, the deal that he was trying to get out of, during the infamous Killer Thriller speech and the Ultimate Collection. One of the big hangups there, to my understanding, was the fact that Michael would not have control of his masters until, I believe, I want to say 2006 or 2007. There are definitely fans out there who know far more about the legal and business end of Michael's world than I do. But so Michael was a free agent on all his old masters when Thriller 25 came out. And he could have released Thriller 25 with any other label. It did not have to be Sony. He chose Sony. I think... Well, now I take that back. Maybe they still controlled his masters. Now that I think about it, if I remember correctly, they controlled his masters till 2011.
Yeah, I think it was.
2011. Sorry about that. So if Michael would have signed with a new label for, let's say, his new album, Sony would have still had the rights to releasing the entire back catalog. That could be the case with an album like Dangerous, where the 2010 deal might, obviously these deals aren't public other than what they choose to state in their press releases. It's possible Sony still has master rights for a while longer, which would mean, yes, Dangerous would have to be released through Sony, but it would still be a separate, I think, deal if they were to re-release it. I don't know. This is all speculative, but I just can't imagine them doing it. I think if I were in charge of the Michael Jackson estate, I would take a few years off in terms of releases. I would take that Disney approach, let him rest for 7 years. You've got the Vegas thing that you're cashing in on. That's plenty. And actually, what I would do is I would take the Disney or Nintendo approach. Michael Jackson has got incredible, I don't know what the word is for it, IP in terms of his franchises. If you want to look at them as films or brands or
you totally could. Like Thriller, it's its own brand.
Beat It, Smooth Criminal. These are like the Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon of the world of Michael Jackson. That there could literally be a Thriller theme park. I don't know if that'd be a good business move, but there's a lot there in that 15-minute film.
Moonwalker, Captain EO. It's endless.
And a smooth. You could, and there could be some really cool projects that don't involve putting records on store shelves that go nowhere. Some really cool projects that could really expand what I think would have been Michael's vision for these things. And it becomes difficult as a fan because, you always, Michael can't be there to shape the Cirque du Soleil show, obviously. And, some of us took issues with the fact that, this wasn't Michael's vision. But it's a cool project. It was a very successful project. And, of course, I have my concerns. I don't like the thought of a hologram personally, but those are the kind of projects they should be exploring. But take your time on them. Like it's been a very aggressive 7 years of releases, and none of them I think went as planned. And
the quality shows because of the sort of rushing, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I think, and it's a new thought of mine, after the ATV catalog was sold, it sort of all clicked for me that, like, okay, this deal was negotiated. Off the Wall was the last release on that record deal. It would have looked really bad if the ATV catalog would have been sold in 2010. But the estate probably needed the cash. So, that record deal was not worth $250 million. These people are excellent analysts. We all knew Michael was huge in 2009, 2010. Massive. But these analysts aren't dumb. They know to an extent how far his appeal in terms of financial commercial success would go. And that they knew at the beginning that deal was not going to be worth $250 million. That's why I believe it was bundled with what would ultimately become the ATV deal in, again, I don't want to be all conspiracy-like, but, in a sort of back room, look, we need a lot of cash right now. We'll sell you the ATV catalog, but we can't do it right now. Fans would be outraged. It would look really bad in the media if we, sold Michael's prized asset a year after he died. Give us this $250 million record deal. We'll cut it off the price at the end from the ATV deal, and there we go. So that's what I think is what happened. And I don't know how they can make, as part of a separate deal, a Dangerous Release, a big, viable, million seller today. It needs to rest.
Yeah, I agree. I think it comes down to as well, like, if they actually have exhausted that 10 project deal. Like, I don't know if they have put out 10 projects. Like, I know This Is It was one of them. The Michael album, Escape, Bad 25, Off the Wall. That's not 10.
The Cirque shows.
So, but are they projects? Like, I guess it was always vague, wasn't it? It's not like in the press release it said it was...
The documentaries?
Yeah. Yeah. Vision... Was
Chilling
Visionary
stuff.
the Vision set of videos? Was that one of them?
Yes. Yep. And that might have been a multi... Sometimes, how sometimes they count as two projects when they're
maybe
multi-disc. I don't know if that one did. Yeah, I think we're there.
This Is It soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was
movie.
retroactive.
Yeah, you could say that was really three things. You could say the soundtrack, the documentary at the cinema, so a film, and then home purchase maybe could be three projects.
Delighted to have with us one of America's youngest institutions, 5 of our very favorite people who, in fact, are doing us the honor of letting us celebrate with them their 10th anniversary in show business. A great welcome, gang, for the Jacksons.
See if you remember these songs. I never can say goodbye. Don't make the pain. I never can say goodbye. Even though the pain and heartaches seem to follow me wherever I go. Though I try and strike to have my feelings, they always seem to show. Then you try to say you live in me, and I always never say no. Tell me why. Is it so? Don't wanna let you go, baby. I never can say goodbye, girl. Ooh, baby, I never can say goodbye. No, 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 no.
Hi, this is Janneke and you're listening to the MJCast. If you're after a leading magazine on all things Michael Jackson and the Jackson family, check out Jackson Source. Jackson Source publishes Jackson magazine annually, and it offers a full retrospect of the previous year covering all the news, highlights and events of the first and next generation of Jacksons in the form of articles, interviews, photos, categories and exclusive contributions from Jackson family members. The 2015 edition of Jackson magazine is now available and features articles about the message in Michael's music, the legacy of the Jackson 5, exclusive interviews with Tito, Jermaine, Taj, Terrell and TJ, as well as exclusive pictures of Tito, Jermaine, Jafar and Your Majesty, and loads more. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at Jackson Source.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, this is Diana Walzak, sculptor of the Michael Jackson History Statue, and you're listening to the MJCast.
James, I've got a question for you. Seeing as your line of work's marketing, I'm really curious as to what you think what is the project that Sony and the estate have put out that's come the closest to being a satisfactory Michael Jackson project for you posthumously?
Well, if you're asking me as a fan, or if you're asking me as a, marketing,
well, a bit of both, I guess. Like, what do you think? What's satisfied you the most? I mean, we all know what the worst ones are, but
is there two different answers from those different points of view, James?
I think I do believe, and this is a relatively new belief of mine. I have to say, I do believe today that they were all well-intentioned projects, and I could not have always said that. I've made no secret that the Michael album, the first posthumous release of new material, I've made no secret that I've been very offended by the fact that album contained, I was going to say what I believe are 3 fraudulent tracks, but the facts are the facts. They are 3 fraudulent tracks on that album. They just are. And I do think, as far as Sony and possibly even the estate goes, that it was an innocent mistake that they were on the album to an extent. Obviously, the response has been deplorable. The lack of I think concern for the fan community opinion on just the response has been terrible. The fact that they were included on the album is relatively innocent. They did have a number of warnings, and I don't need to get in on all that. It's just not what this talk today is about. But I think it was a very well-intentioned project, and I think it was beautifully done in hindsight. I think the songs were quote-unquote completed very elegantly, and not perfectly, but elegantly and well-intentioned. I think the Escape project, which is the other posthumous album of new material, also well-intentioned, but I think because of the disaster that the Michael album became, they took a totally different approach. And instead of completing the tracks, they quote-unquote contemporized the tracks, which is really just remix the tracks. And they sounded, to me, bizarre in 2014. And today, they just sound just weird. Because in 2014, it's like, okay, this might be like, the future of what songs are going to sound like. And this is like a very Michael Jackson-like approach, I guess. They weren't very attractive to me at the time, and they're still not. But the contemporized tracks. But I thought, okay, well, this might be just ahead of the curve, and like this might be a whole new era of music and the way Michael would have done it. But here we are 2 years later, and nothing we hear today sounds anything like those sounds on that album. So I don't know what the hell the vision was on those contemporizations, but it was well intentioned, and it was a miss. It was a miss, and I think it was a miss because they looked at how the Michael album performed, and it did not perform well. So they said, we can't complete these old songs. We've got to contemporize them. And but I imagine in their analysis, they probably missed the real reason the Michael album was a failure, and it was the 3 fake songs that were on the album. It was not because the songs were old and completed, quote unquote. It was because there were 3 fake songs on the album. And I think if they were to be more acknowledging of that internally, if they were to be more receptive of that and more open to that, if they were to include that in their analysis, they would see that the Michael album underperformed because of the fraud, not because of the material, the legitimate material on the album. But then, of course, we had Bad 25, which apparently underperformed. But it was a big package. It was there was a lot of what they call in the marketing world SKUs, which were variants of the package. There was the DVD-only release of the concert. There was the Bad 25 documentary. There was the CD, DVD bonus track combo. I think there was a CD and just plain DVD combo with no bonus track CD. And then I think there was the CD only, single disc only release. That's 5 SKUs for one album. Oh, and there was that deluxe briefcase fan pack. That's 6 SKUs. They wouldn't dedicate those resources to a project. SKUs are not cheap. It's inventory, it's real estate, it's package design, it's dyes, in the manufacturing process. It's not cheap. Each one of those SKUs.
And it was decent packaging. Like that packaging was actually, some of the one I got was pretty good. That was really cool little box set. There was some good packaging in it. It wasn't thrown together at all.
Yeah, they didn't. It was a truly customized, well put together, custom molds, so to speak, which is an investment on their part. And they definitely had big plans for Bad 25. They did the Pepsi promo. They did the big Thanksgiving evening special for the documentary in the U.S. primetime. And it just wasn't a hit. I guess it didn't perform to their expectations. And I think it was they made some misses there with the lead single being I Just Can't Stop Loving You, which I know was the lead single from the original album, and I know it was a #1 hit. But in 1987, Michael Jackson could, you could put anything out. You could make a single of him snoring, it'd go #1. In 2012, that would not have been the case. And but it was a well done project, and
lacking in some quality, like the concert and the sound and the video of the concert and stuff. But if you look at it as a whole,
I agree.
They were onto something.
Yeah,
they just didn't execute it.
Yeah, it's just right, and there's sometimes things just don't pan out. It's the market just isn't there, and I think things were very tense with the fan community after the Michael album, and I guess the understanding is that they communicated with a number of fans, I guess, in putting together this project. I don't know who, and certainly between the 3 of us on this podcast right now, and certainly people listening, we probably know all the prominent fans out there, and no one I know worked on this project with them. So I don't know who they consulted with, but would I have done it any differently? It's always easy to, what do they call it? The
hindsight.
Tuesday morning quarterback or something, Monday morning quarterback. I don't know. I don't know sports, but it's very easy to look back in hindsight. Yeah. But, I feel like I'm being really negative about everything. And I really,
it's fine. It's hard to be positive about some of these projects we're talking about.
I'm more grounded in my opinion today than I was in those moments. And I have more respect. I'm willing to offer more respect and understanding to the circumstances the estate faced today than I was living in those moments. That's not to say they're entirely I'll say they're innocent. But that doesn't mean they're not liable. And, I still don't feel they have owned up to what happened in 2010. And they are the victims of fraud in the same way the fan community are victims of fraud. And I am willing to give them that. In fact, the facts give them that they are victims of fraud too. And I wish that they would communicate with us and own up to it. And they haven't, but they've tried. They definitely have tried. And they've tried with the releases to own up, to
make up
things, to make things better. But too little too late. That first single, that first album is so important.
Yeah.
And you miss the ball there. It's very hard to pick up. It's very hard to pick up. And they missed it. They made it. Those 3 tracks were so damaging to Michael's posthumous commercial legacy.
Yeah.
And potentially they're still available for sale today. It's damaging to his artistic legacy too.
Absolutely. I mean, there's like I've said before on the show, I've had students tell me that their favorite song is Monster of Michael Jackson. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
You put Apple Music on or, Spotify, you can't help it, but those songs come up sometimes, Speaking
of, Dangerous is not on Spotify currently.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw somebody say that on Twitter.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it on the show before.
Yeah,
and just before, we wrap this little segment up, don't be going after James online. Don't go trolling him. Don't go bullying him online for his opinions and stuff that he said. We know your opinions and thoughts. They're very loud. So just leave James alone. You got to come through me first and whatever. Bring it on. I don't give a crap. Whatever. But yeah, just lay off James because he's just here. He's just saying what he thinks, like what you've been doing. So yeah, I just wanted to say leave James alone. Leave James alone.
No, well, I think, look, there are people who don't agree with me on this issue who I respect tremendously and I consider friends. And there are, on both sides, immature ways that members of our community have handled this issue. And I'm sure at times, myself included. No matter what your opinion is, it's worthy of, it's super important. It's worthy of debate. It's worthy of discussion. If I'm right, if you're right, it has to stand the test of intellectual debate. And so yeah, please, don't bully me and I won't bully you. But yeah, if you've got opinions, let's talk about it. It's that important. We need to talk about it.
And I think in time, people will sort of come to know how much work James has put into research and into the community on some of these topics. And you know, if you're going to be coming at him saying that he doesn't know what he's talking about, then just back off because he knows what he's talking about. That's all I'm going to say. But he knows what he's talking about. All right, he did the amount of time and money and research and effort that James has done on some stuff, you'd be gobsmacked.
And it's not just me, and I'm not. This is an issue that I don't know. I mean, there could be an entire podcast about this issue, and not just one episode.
There could be a book about this issue.
There could.
There will be a book about this issue, but yeah, it's. Well, let's keep the debate going. Let's keep the discussion going.
Don't sweep it under the carpet.
No, and yeah, the right thing will come ultimately. And if I'm totally wrong, which the facts tell me I'm not, but if I am, I hope the evidence that's able to convince me of that comes to surface, because I would love that closure. Oh my God, I would love the closure of some sort on this issue, even if it means me being wrong. I would love the closure.
Yep, lay it out. So dangerous calendar, hey.
Worst guest ever. Worst guest ever.
No,
I'm so sorry.
No.
Best guest ever.
This is awesome.
I've had the email from Jamin. Q, you're fired. James is the new co-host.
No.
Congratulations on your congratulations on your job.
No, I love you guys so much. I am such a huge fan of this podcast.
James, this podcast wouldn't happen because it's because of you that this is happening and people are listening right now.
Exactly. You're just as much a part of this as we are, mate.
That is such an overcredit. That is
no, it's not. We think of you. Yeah, this is the first time you've been on the show, but yeah, you are a massive part of this show, and it wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for you.
How many times, James, have you dealt with my meltdown moments and fixed things? Come on.
That's okay. You guys are my friends. You guys are I would do anything for anyone in the fan community. I am such a believer in us, as in the maybe millions of us all over the world. And I mean, I have my closest friend is, I don't even know how many miles away, other side of the planet, other hemisphere, 2 hemispheres away, southern hemisphere. I have friends who I have known for decades all over the world. I don't want to name them because they probably don't want to be named, but you guys are my best friends. You guys are I've known you my whole life. And in terms of the fan community, and I think we all should feel that way. And I think, as much as we celebrate Michael, it's important, I think, to celebrate what we have with each other and to celebrate each other as Michael's nation. And yeah, so please, I am happy to contribute to any project, and my contribution to this podcast, by the way, is so minor, but I appreciate it, and I love it just as a fan. I listen all the time.
Yeah, hot tip, it's not minor, but thank you very much for everything that you do. Yeah. We really do appreciate it.
And just to add a little bit of clarity to that, because there's probably a lot of listeners out there thinking, what is it that James actually does? But James does a lot of our back end sort of stuff. So he's he knows a lot about things like WordPress and server storage and all of that kind of stuff. So
he puts the VCR tapes in the player for us. And puts those AV cables in the back of the device.
Yeah, the show literally wouldn't be technically possible without James's expertise, and especially his, I guess training. Like, he's taught me how to operate the wheels that get this show turning. So, thanks, James, and we look forward to many, many more episodes together.
Thank you very much.
And here we were thinking James was going to be too shy to give more than one-word answers.
I am the most long-winded person.
I think you've taken the crown, dude. I think you have. I think we've had a couple other people.
Terrible.
Damien was pretty. He went. Yeah. His answers were long, and then we had somebody else too.
Ale
she gives long
beautiful
answers.
Ale, our host on the MJCast Espanol. Awesome, just such detailed answers. That's not. This is just regular co-hosts, people that we have on, not even special guests. But yeah, James, award passed to you.
Oh God, I'm not proud of that. Please cut this way down. Please cut this way down.
No. We did a survey at the end of last year, and listeners resoundingly came back saying that they loved long shows.
Except for Damien Shields.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a good time for a music break. How about an awesome tribute song for Michael to celebrate his birthday with by someone that pretty much every single Michael Jackson fan would know, the incredible songwriter Saida Garrett. Her track, Keep On Loving You, I just adore the passion in this song. Oh my God. I don't think it can be matched. You'll be really hard pressed. Sada's on another level, but yeah, the passion that I hope you guys feel, I really love this track. So yeah, good time for a music break. This is Saida Garrett with Keep On Loving You.
I know I was nervous, if you were feeling nervous too. I didn't have a clue, but you were the real thing, and I found it so refreshing. It turned out to be so cool. Yeah, I remember like yesterday everything you showed me and all the things you used to say. I loved you then, and I love you still. I guess I always have and always will for the rest of my life. Everything else might change, but no matter what I do, I'm gonna keep on loving you for the rest of my life. I'll smile when I hear your name, and no matter what I do, I'm gonna keep on loving you for the rest of my life. No, I know I love you. You were a treasure, still you were treated so unkind. It used to blow my mind. And sometimes I feel you when I hear your blessing in a rhyme. Your spirit's still alive. I remember like yesterday everything you showed me and all the things you used to say. I loved you then, and I love you still. I guess I always have and always will for the rest of my life. Everything else might change, but no matter what I do, I'm gonna keep on loving you for the rest of my life. I'll smile when I hear your name, and no matter what I do, I'm gonna keep on loving you. Yeah, you'll always be right here, 'cause the magic in your music lives in me. Yeah, forever alive in my mind, playing like the soundtrack from another life in time. Yeah, I'm gonna keep on loving you for the rest of my life. Everything else may change, but no matter what I do, I'm gonna keep on loving you for the rest of my life. I'll smile when I hear your name, and no matter what I do, I'm gonna keep on loving you for the rest of my life. No, I know I love you.
Hey, this is really Brad Sundberg, studio engineer and technical director for Michael Jackson and host of In the Studio with MJ. You're listening to the MJCast.
Awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that track. I forgot to do, well, I didn't forget. We were just really busy launching the MJCast Espanol, so I didn't do like a poll of the music from episode 37. So yeah, I'll try and get a poll up for this episode, and you can vote if that was your favorite music break. So yeah, if you follow us on Twitter, look out for the poll. Moving on in the news, Taj, Tarrell, and TJ of 3T, of course, they hosted their first and second and I think even the third has happened now, maybe, because we had a bit of a break between this and our last episode. Their show, Power of Love radio show on LA Talk Radio. It is a podcast, I guess, like a radio show podcast, and it's sponsored by their Dee Dee Jackson Foundation. I've had a chance to listen to the initial show, and it was really good. It was really good. So they played the track they launched on the Jackson's Next Generation TV show and their EP, so the Power of Love. They got to play that song towards the end of the episode. But the episode was really about grief and the core of what the Dee Dee Jackson Foundation is. It's about helping kids and people that have gone through massive events and grieving and how to deal with that, and just to being around people and supporting people and how best to do that. And it got to some pretty deep and dark places. So I know Jamin hasn't had a chance to listen to the show yet, but they talk about the murder of their mum and the story about that, and how they sort of heard the news, how they processed that over the years, about going to hearings, parole hearings, where the murderer is and how they deal with that. It's, some pretty deep and heavy stuff, but quality stuff. Like the openness and the candor of these gentlemen was, amazing. And, it's a really good show. So if you get a chance, do check it out. And Dee Dee Jackson Foundation, it's a great foundation. Support that if you can, in any way that you can, even if it's as little as sharing some of their posts, or up to donating to the foundation to help children, with music therapy and different ways. So, we'll have links to that in the show notes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting the chance to hear that. I don't think I'm ready yet after some of the things we've dealt with this year, but it's definitely there, ready for me to hear, and I can't wait, because I have massive respect for Taj, Tarrell, and TJ, and what they've done with Dee Dee Jackson Foundation. So,
very admirable, and worth supporting for sure. James, did you get a chance to hear the show?
Not yet, but it sounds super fascinating, and I hopefully I will get a chance to listen to it.
It's amazing that, like, the other members of the Jackson family, they have these incredible causes that they're out there publicly supporting and championing. Like Yashi Brown is out there, very openly talking about mental health. Some incredible poetry that she's putting out that's, fueled by her bipolar. Incredible stuff.
Oh, and there's also Genevieve Jackson as well, with her Egbo movement.
IEGBO.
I think it's EIGBO. I can't remember what it means though. Isn't it?
Everything is going to be all
That's
right.
It. Everything is going to be all right. And I love those jumpers.
Something like that.
Those sweaters, they look so cool. And I love the movement that she's doing as well with getting positivity out there. And it's a great, great cause. So it's awesome to see the Jackson family really, raising money and doing things like that for great causes.
If you can hear a crazy noise outside, like I said earlier in the show, I'm recording from a hotel room. There's big, giant, beautiful parklands outside.
Whereabouts are you in the city?
Up on the edge, above a park, like a big, giant botanical garden sort of park.
Oh, you're at the
Botanic Gardens. Great. Yeah, I think there's not the Botanic Gardens, another on the other side of the city, but I think I can hear fruit bats outside. Yeah, there's these giant bats, giant bats that eat fruit from trees. They're pretty impressive when you see them flying through the air.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the news. Speaking of mature Jacksons, Miss Paris Jackson, Michael's beautiful daughter, she had an awesome response to a fan comment on Instagram about Kanye West beating a long-standing Michael Jackson sort of music record.
Yeah, I found it really interesting to read, because it's pretty often that people sort of get very protective of Michael and then sort of slag out other artists just because they may have sort of beaten Michael Jackson or something in a record. But the person who commented said, "I'm effing mad, screw Kanye West for knocking Michael off the chart for the most 40 hits or whatever. If Michael was still here, God, he would have passed Kanye." And Paris replied, and I just absolutely love this reply because it's got a bit of information in there about MJ we didn't know before. But it says, "The first time I ever heard Kanye's Heartbreak album was from my dad. He played it for me all the time. He liked him. He never saw music as a competition or a game, never had a motive to talk shit about other artists. It was always about the love and respect and appreciation for music. So if someone breaks a new record, be happy for them. They worked hard for it and they earned it. Don't be angry or jealous or biased. Music is music, and if it's good, it deserves recognition." Which I thought was really cool.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Respect.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, say what you want about Kanye, like interesting personality, says a lot of crazy stuff, etc. But he's got great music, and she's right. And it's cool to know now that Michael loved him as well. So, yeah.
I remember one of my economics classes years ago when I first started college, and the teacher brought up a great example about the music business. We're talking about competition, and that music is so, this economic example, music is so affordable that pretty much everyone owns their 25 favorite albums. There's really no reason why most people can't own all of their favorite music for the most part. Versus, owning your favorite cars ever. That's far more difficult for people. It's so naturally competitive. And it doesn't have to be competition. And it's art, it's expression. And Michael has so many records, it's easy for us to sort of recognize him for his records in terms of, artistic feats on the charts and sales and all that. But yeah, that's cool what Paris said.
Yeah,
so mature.
And I also
Awesome.
I don't really think charts mean everything either all the time. Like, you're right, James, you can recognize Michael easily from his records. But I was talking to a close friend the other day about, Michael's music, and some of his biggest hits didn't even go number one at all. Like, I'm pretty sure Blame It on the Boogie didn't chart overly that well in terms of hitting number 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. But
Smooth Criminal wasn't a number one.
Yeah, I think it went like number 7 or something. And some of these songs have stood the test of time and are still as popular now as they were then, or even more so in a lot of cases. So charts aren't everything.
I mean, yeah, no, they're nothing. My favorite Michael Jackson songs, if they were even released as singles, weren't huge hits. Would it matter if we probably all discovered Michael Jackson because he was such a popular artist. But if you would have discovered him, if he wasn't a popular artist and you still had the opportunity to discover him anyways, would it matter to you? How recognized he was and how successful he was commercially? No, it's about the music. So who cares?
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Rihanna is to receive a award. It's the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award. It's coming out. Sorry, I'll say that again. The 2016 MTV Video Music Awards are coming up quite soon, actually August 28th. And during that ceremony, Rihanna's going to be given the Video Vanguard Award for her contributions to music videos and short films, which should be pretty special.
Yay, congratulations, Rihanna. I don't think I can name more than 3 of your songs. I do like your voice. But
I'm the same way. Like, I don't know. I know that. I mean, I respect her because I feel like I know I'm supposed to respect her. I just haven't caught on to her work, I guess. I haven't had the opportunity to.
She's got a song on the new Star Trek Beyond soundtrack.
Yeah, and that is an incredible video.
Like if you watch it's brilliant. Like cinematically, it's gorgeous. It doesn't really have a like a narrative. Like Michael was very much into narrative in his short films, but this is just visually just a masterful piece of art, that the Star Trek one. So yeah, and I hope it's cool that she's being honoured and recognised for her contributions. It's pretty cool. I think it's cool that the award's named after Michael, because like this is totally an award that should be named after him. Considering all of the contributions he made, so it's cool.
There was a time though that they took the name away.
Really?
Yeah, there was a period in the 2000s, I believe, when it was just the Video Vanguard Award. It was named when they launched the award. It was named the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award, I think, and then for a number of years they just dropped Michael from the name of it, and then only in the last couple of years they reintroduced the proper name of it.
Well, maybe that was because in the early 2000s that wasn't the only sort of negative thing that MTV did towards Michael. Remember there was the birthday
the big
award kerfuffle.
They advertised that they were going to be awarding him the Artist of the Millennium, was it? No. Was it?
Yeah, the Artist of the Millennium Award, because he got up on stage and said that he never, when he was growing up in Gary, Indiana, he never would have imagined that he would be receiving the Artist of the Millennium Award.
Yeah, and that's how they had marketed it, and then later they switched it up and said, oh, look at the craziness of Michael thinking he was getting an award for the Artist of Millennium when we never said that at all.
And then they had, I think it was the next year, they had a parody where Jack Black dressed up as Michael Jackson in the same sort of costume, pretending to get an award. So yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So MTV dropping that name on the back of trying to make a fool out of Michael.
They disrespected him a bit.
Yeah, that's disgusting considering how much he contributed to their network, really.
Well, that's, media.
Yep.
Just, what else can you say? Anyway. So we won't open that can of worms now.
But I'm biting my tongue, guys.
Yeah, I bet. We're going to have you back and we will talk about that in the future, okay? Let's put a pin in that, James.
Anytime.
Cool. All right. So does that wrap up the news, James?
That's the news. We got through the news in a record-breaking 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Well, we'll see how long the edited version is.
Wow.
I remembered who the other award holder was. Paul Black, of course.
Oh, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Paul. Much love, brother. Yeah, so we've had a few award holders, but we love it. I do. I love it. Because I listen back to these shows. I listen back to these shows because I am entertained by listening to the discussions.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's not a show. It's not a podcast. It's a phone call with friends is what it is.
And that's exactly what it is. So that's where the idea came from.
It's my fault for not realizing, okay, this is a show.
No, please do not change, because guess what? You are now the main discussion topic, James.
Oh, God.
This is.
Oh boy!
Here come the one-word answers that we were scared of. No, guess what? We want to hear, for our main discussion topic, how you became a fan, and you've got 20 minutes or less. No, I'm joking. That's a lie.
From top to bottom. Give us your first Michael memory onwards. Let's go.
Just know that, like I said, tomorrow is scheduled to the minute, and I do need to sleep tonight. I haven't ironed for my uniform or repacked my crew bag, so I do need to do that and get sleep. Just saying that first. No pressure. But
yeah, well,
how do you want to start it? Like, do you want us to ask you how you became a fan, or are you just gonna let it all out?
Yeah, I think I've sort of covered a lot of that, and certainly what it means to me. But I've been a fan literally for as long as I can remember. I can't even tell you when I was first exposed to him.
So you can't
there's
tell us your first Michael memory, maybe?
There is a family video that we have where I'm, I hope it's not lost. I feel like it has been lost over the years, where I don't even remember the moment. I remember watching the tape later in my life, but where I'm dancing on the kitchen table back at our home when we were in Chicago to The Way You Make Me Feel. So I was born in 84, so I would have been at least 3 or 4 years old at that point. And so even then, I loved Michael Jackson. And I don't remember, he was the biggest star in the world in the 80s. And I know my parents loved him. My older brother loved him. They had a very normal, healthy relationship with Michael Jackson, the
I love
artist on the radio.
That's awesome.
But for some reason, for me, it just became. I was just far more fascinated, and it always stuck. The first moment, the first Michael Jackson, fandom moment for me was the black or white debut video. When that video debuted, would have been in '91, and that was the exposure to what was at the time, a new Michael Jackson release. And I'd gotten the album that Christmas, the Dangerous album that Christmas, and that was a big moment that I had asked for it. I'd asked for a Michael Jackson album. I'd always loved Michael Jackson. We had the Moonwalker VHS. I'd watched it a million times. Probably the only exercise I got as a kid was pretending to be Michael Jackson running in the streets being chased by imaginary dogs, mimicking Moonwalker.
That's so cool.
But after getting the Dangerous album, I remember asking for, I think for my birthday later that year, the old Jackson's albums, because there were, because I knew the songs from the Moonwalker montages, the little clips of, State of Shock and Can You Feel It?
Start. Yeah.
And, then I had asked, my parents had them all on vinyl. I had asked for CDs of the, Thriller and Bad. And so by 1991, I was truly a full-blown fan, exploring everything. And, my grandmother would clip every Michael Jackson story in the newspaper, even the bad ones, in the magazines. When the History album came out, I was fully aware, fully conscious, fully absorbed. I was there the day the single was released. I bought the single, and then a month or so later, when the album came out, I got the album. I was there the day it came out. Started getting the internet around that time too, and started going to the early fan sites. MJNet, still the best Michael Jackson fan, the best official Michael Jackson site ever, was the one to promote. I guess I would say it would be Blood on the Dance Floor. An awesome site. Planet Jackson, some of the early fan communities.
Planet Jackson, that was, oh my God, the visuals of that site were just beautiful.
Yeah, they sure were.
Oh,
they sure
man.
were.
So
and they had
good.
the news. They had all the news.
They had
first.
all the news. They were
and
incredible.
They had it first.
Yep. That was the place.
And it's his influence has been, I'm not an artist, or I'm not in the music world, but his influence it's everywhere. I admire his workmanship, admire his quality. Of course, I admire his values. They've shaped so much of who I am in so many ways. That's my fan story. Those are my first moments. How's that?
Okay, that's awesome.
That's great.
So, do you have what can you sort of name your favorite stuff?
Yeah, of course. I'd like to think probably every fan would probably say "Will You Be There" has got to be one of their favorite songs, and it definitely is mine. It's an amazing melody. It's an amazing moment of self-reflection for Michael. It's I love "Will You Be There." I love the Earth Song short film. The look, the message, the effects. It still looks incredible. I mean, that thing is 21 years old, and the special effects don't look too out of date at all. I mean, very powerful. And so relevant to today. I love "They Don't Care About Us." Such an amazing track. When I was a kid, I loved "The Way You Make Me Feel." It was just the best song. It still is a great song. "Another Part of Me" is another one of my favorites. As a fan, and I think a lot of fans probably do this, is we sort of ignore the big major hits. People tell me they love Thriller. Of course, I love to hear that, but I'm like, okay, of course you do. Who does? You know what I mean?
There's only a couple of million albums sold of Thriller. It's cool. It's cool.
Right. But, I think tracks like "Best of Joy" are so incredible. And,
that's a beautiful song.
I'm a sappy guy. I know I like those deep emotional cuts that just, speak to us as people who love Michael the person. And yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Is "Dangerous" your favorite album?
Oh man. Either Dangerous
which leg do you prefer? Which one are you going to keep? We're going to chop the other one off. It's so hard to answer sometimes.
Yeah, it's either Dangerous or History, I think, for sure. To me, I think there's first of all, you have all the Motown stuff, right? And, it's really hard to consider that Michael Jackson work. He wasn't the songwriter. His level of input, I think, admittedly, was minimal. It's why they wanted to leave Motown, right? And then you've got the Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad eras, which aren't to say they weren't introspective at all. I think they were, but they were different. He was still sort of coming into, I think, his voice not as a musician. He was certainly an established musician and performer at that point, but coming into his voice as a writer. And what is he going to write about? And I think Michael was I think by the Bad album especially, Michael was aware that there would be something superficial and non-integral, meaning no integrity, if he were to make love songs, traditional love songs about being in traditional relationships. Because I think we all know, the whole world, even if you're not a Michael Jackson music fan, Michael Jackson's relationship status, Michael Jackson's superstar status, and he can't just write songs like other people write, just generic love songs. I think he really honed in on his purpose as a songwriter, and it's those social songs. And to me, those are the most important components to Michael's career. And I feel like in traditional American political fashion, the more socially aware his music became, sort of the less commercially viable he became as an artist. I think it's a lot of reasons why, the History album was sort of the beginning of the end for Michael, but certainly in chart success, the beginning of the end. After You Are Not Alone, which is sort of a traditional love song, as I sort of said he doesn't do, but whatever. Songs like They Don't Care About Us, no charting here. Songs like Earth Song, essentially no charting here. And they're his best works. And those are the ones that draw me the most, for sure.
What an answer.
Yep, that was pretty cool. So speaking of, you say, you like the soppy love songs and the mushy cool stuff like that. For me, my favorite performance was Elizabeth, I Love You. I just think that was incredible. What is your favorite Michael performance?
That is a great performance. The vocals, oh my God.
Oh my God, so good. And just even the simplicity of it. Just the simplicity of the staging. It was so Broadway and so theatrical. And so just him on the stage, a few little props. Yeah, there was the wind machine, thank God, and the big spotlight, thank God. But he used those two things so perfectly to finish it. Oh, heaven.
I think Man in the Mirror Grammys was, I think, a major moment from Michael performing. And you could really analyze that one, actually. I mean, I think, he was so slighted in that Grammy show. And I think he was so slighted because of how successful he was and the dramatic sweep he had in the 84 Grammys. And I think the Billie Jean performance was so organic, the Billie Jean Motown 25 performance, the iconic Billie Jean performance. It was so organic that I think that was a big part of the surprise and the reason why it's considered so iconic. And I think Michael loves that performance, but I would like to think, he was like, well, what would happen if I were to calculate a better performance? If Billie Jean, I think he said he rehearsed it in his kitchen, right? And he pulled the jacket out of his mom's closet. He had no idea what he was going to do for that song, and he just got on stage and he just did it. And I think he said, well, what if I apply all my creative power and plot a better performance? And I think that's exactly what he was doing with Man in the Mirror in 1988. And I think he was trying to contrive, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but contrive a performance there and put all his energy and thought and creativity into that. And I think it speaks to his genius. It's and it's not as recognized. And I'd like to think that's what he was trying to do there. And the whole show, he won some awards. I know he lost out to artists like George Michael and I think even Bobby Brown. I mean, the Bad Album is amazing, and I love Bobby Brown. I love George Michael, but I think in retrospect, that should have been his show too. He should have all the shows, actually, in retrospect. But that's my favorite performance. And when I first got on the internet, I'd go to Jetsy.
Those were the days.
I'd go to her site, their site, her site, his site. I don't know. And that was like when I first got the internet, the little reel player with the the size of a postage stamp video. That's the one I would always turn to as a favorite. Yeah, I love that one.
What about your favorite tour?
Yeah. Well, did you ever get to see Michael perform at all?
The 30th anniversary show.
Oh,
on September.
Oh, wow.
I am so glad I am sitting down on a really sturdy chair.
Which night did you see him on? The first or second night?
September 7th, the first night.
Okay.
And I have a lot of guilt about it, actually, to be honest, because, it was, we just didn't know. How could you have known that that those shows would end up being so important, that they would be the last full shows, and so much of my memory, you there in the moment, I had saved up, I got a job at Target, and I had saved up all summer to pay back my parents for the tickets, because I think we had bought the tickets in like March or something, and I had to pay them back. And I bought a ticket for me and a guest, which ultimately became my mom. And it was expensive at the time. It was like, I don't know, $700 for the two tickets. And they weren't that, they were good seats, but not the best seats. And I remember the press actually being so hard on him for the ticket prices, which today, like, they're standard. But, it was my first trip to New York, so that was really cool. And just being there, and I just experiencing, this is my first time like meeting other fans, which I'd planned out to there was a couple of fan gatherings. I was just there. I was shy and like didn't really introduce myself to anyone, but I just observed them, and it was really cool. And I so much of my memory of that event is shaped by the YouTube videos that I have watched since then, and of course the broadcast. I had one of those, like, remember those yellow Kodak disposable cameras?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so sad. That's what I still have the photos. That's what I have to document the event. And if I would have known it was so important, I would not have been dancing and singing, and I would have just watched in person. It would not have been a party for me. It would have been a study for me. And but a concert is meant to be a party. He wanted it to be a party for you, right? But if I could go back in time, I would take in the performance with so much more importance than I did in that moment. But yeah, as for my favorite tour, the Bad Tour, I think. The Bad Tour. There's a lot to be said about the Dangerous Tour, and of course the History Tour to an extent, but the Bad Tour, he was at his peak, in terms of his speed, his vocals, his physicality at the Bad Tour, for sure.
Nice. Okay, back to the 30th anniversary though. Please.
Sure.
So I've shared probably a number of times, because I love to repeat myself, how I just completely broke down in an absolute mess of tears at those opening strains of when Michael and the Jacksons, they just launched out of the fireworks and all of that stuff. How was that in person, man?
Okay, so I hate to, like, how do I say this? There was so much confusion that first night. Okay. First of all, amazing. So cool. But in context of the event, okay, and mind you, I was 17 years old, maybe? 17 years old. And so, I still have my ticket, still have the program. First of all, there's all this controversy. What brothers are going to be performing, right? And, I still have the program from the event, and the lineup of the brothers that are coming are an insert into the program, because by the time the program went into print, it was they didn't know who was going to be in it, so they literally slipped in a piece of paper to saying, okay, these are the brothers, this is the Jacksons reunion. They're probably maybe unsure if it was going to happen at all. And there were the start time was so late, and there had been at least one impersonator who would walk around the arena with an umbrella, and the crowd would go nuts, and there was confusion, like, is that Michael, isn't it Michael? It was pretty clear to me it wasn't. There would be the Chris Tucker introduction, for example, and then there'd be, like, I don't know, it felt like a half-hour break of nothing, but it was probably more like 5 or 10 minutes, but significant in a concert. And then then that thing would come on. And of course it's amazing. And then there would be, I think the Jackson set was pretty much all in one shot, I think. But between each, oh my God, I forgot to tell you about the tribute part. There's the tribute part. Between each of those, there was like a 10-minute break. It was a very slow-moving show. The lights would come on in the arena. The lights would go off. You didn't know if it was safe to use the bathroom because you didn't know what you might miss, because there was no warning when things would be coming on. And I don't mean to complain about the moment, but it was just they were filming a TV special. That's what they were doing. And I know there was vast improvements on all those issues by the second show, but I know some of the other members of the crowd around me. There was a growing sense of impatience in this show that I think a lot of people forget about in hindsight, but even people who were there. But if you were there and you're listening, I know you understand that moment has a my memory of being there in person is so skewed by the confusion of the moment that I rely so much. It's a shame. I was there, but I rely so much on the videos and stuff that you have watched. So a lot of our memories are probably the same. But yeah, it was for me, like, it was just, I'd never seen Michael live. The Invincible album was about to come out. We had no idea the struggle we were about to face with Invincible, and then the Bashir, and then the Sony protests, and then Bashir, and then the trial, and then Michael's hiatus, and then This Is It, and his death. It all occurred. That was like among the last bliss in denial moments, unaware moments. So you didn't know to take it in. You didn't know to appreciate it. You didn't know. You just didn't know. You didn't know how important it would be. I thought there was going to be an Invincible tour. There was already rumors of a full-blown tour, at the time.
Yeah.
When had you heard You Rock My World before he performed that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A funny story. I'm sure the YouTube videos have it. Yeah, the song had leaked a good time before things. I remember during the car ride to New York, I'd listened to the track, and at the time the only leak we had was from a radio station in New York called KTU. I don't know if you guys remember it, and like there'd be KTU looped all throughout the You Rock My World song.
Oh my god, it was so
That was the
annoying.
leak we relied on for a month or two, probably. But I should say a few weeks. So Michael comes out and says, what song did you guys, in audience interaction, he's like, what song do you guys want to hear? And there was, the first couple responses were totally mixed, Thriller and blah, 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 and Smooth Criminal. And eventually the audience just coalesces wanting Smooth Criminal. And it was not the answer Michael Jackson wanted. So the crowd is saying, Smooth Criminal, Smooth Criminal. And Michael goes, You Rock My World? You got it. And then
that clip's on YouTube. I watched that the other day. Oh, man.
So obviously they devised a new introduction for the second show for You Rock My World, and that's what is in the CBS broadcast, obviously.
Is that the girls listening to the radio and stuff?
Yes.
Do you guys want to hear Michael's new song?
Oh.
Right. Which I guess is the response to the blowback Michael had faced by assuming the audience wanted the number one request would be You Rock My World.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It ended up being Smooth Criminal, which is
funny.
Which, Alien Ant Farm had a big there was a giant Smooth Criminal resurgence at that moment too, which I'm sure was lended to that moment.
But what was the deal with when because I watched this clip the other day actually, and you're right. Michael said, do you want to hear You Rock My World? And then he turns to the band and goes, hit it, and nothing happens for like 2 minutes. And it's so awkward. What was that about?
That's like what I was describing. There was just giant gaps between each song. It was not a smooth running, seamless show like what you see on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Although I again, from my understanding, the second night improved that vastly, but it was the very, very, very long breaks, which wasn't aided by the fact that Michael Jackson was very late showing up to the show. And when he did show up, not the best moment, fly undone, and did not look entirely. I don't want to go into all that,
himself,
but
yeah.
I think Frank Cassio, has maybe exposed potentially what was going on behind the scenes at that moment. Yeah, so it's a big moment, I wouldn't say my favorite Michael Jackson memory or moment. I know I see on this outline here, one of the questions you'll be asking, so I'll answer it for you now. Wasn't that, and you think it would be, and it was definitely special, but favorite Michael memory, and I hate to get sappy again about it, but it has to do with the friendships and bonds that I have made as a fan. My favorite Michael memories are in moments where Michael wasn't even alive moments with my friend Damian Shields or other fans that are just those special sacred moments where he brought us together, and he brought us together right now for this podcast. And, so many laughs and jokes and bonds and friendships, and those will truly last the rest of our lives, as will his music and memory. But that's my favorite part of being a Michael Jackson fan, is being a Michael Jackson fan.
Love it. Awesome. In a future episode, I will have to share, it'll be one probably with Paul Black on it again. I'll share my You Rock My World story and how funny it was. And I'll give just a quick little teaser of one day when I do tell the story. The first time I heard it was in a supermarket bakery back room on a little transistor radio encrusted with flour and pastry. So there you go. That's setting the scene for in the future, and I'll share that story, and Paul can tell the other half of it because it involved him. It was hilarious.
How intriguing. That's awesome.
So tune in. You have to, every episode, guys, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, because, that'll be in some future show.
James, how long were you in New York City for after September 7th?
So we had driven back. We left that Monday. So my first day, which was September 10th, we had my first day back in school was the morning of September 11th. And we were it's so funny how I believe it was on the September 9th. We were driving around New York, and I'd seen the World. We'd literally driven right in front of the World Trade Center, and I knew there was a restaurant there that everyone said we should go to, which was called Windows to the World, and I think it was on the top floor, and it's awesome. Offers this amazing view of New York. And I'd asked my parents if I'm like, hey, we should check this out. And we had meant to go back later in the day to do that, and we didn't end up going back there, but I would never have the chance to. Not like that eating at the restaurant is the most important thing in the world to me, but just kind of neat, because then that Tuesday, I'm in school, and morning September 11th, I was actually in a marketing class, and a girl, we had to give presentations about where we had worked or whatever, and there's a girl there who had worked in my class who worked at a bagel store. We were all munching on bagels because she had brought in bagels for us to eat as part of our little presentation. And another teacher walked in and said, turn on the TV, there's a plane had hit the World Trade Center. And, I had just been talking to all my friends in class about being in New York, and how I got back the day before, and just obviously the Michael Jackson show was the big thing I was talking about. And it was a very surreal moment on 9/11. I could not imagine what it was like for the fans that were there, and especially for Michael, whose show, that September 10th show went into September 11th, I'd imagine. I don't know exactly what time it ended, but probably past midnight. And it's weird. And in so many ways, I think it actually had a major impact on the ultimate demise of Michael Jackson's, last decade. I think it sealed the deal that Invincible had no real chance. God, you try releasing, the whole world was, 2001 was the first year that the record industry started to slump. I have every newspaper magazine clipping that talked about his new album, and it was a big deal. People were looking at it as a litmus test for the industry as a whole, and people, which was sluggish, even though it's weird to say because NSYNC had just broken a big record, and everything was about teen pop at the moment. It was just a setup for failure, and then 9/11 happened, and I don't care how great it is. What are you going to how can you expect to have a commercial feel-good album be successful a month and a half after 9/11? And it's almost insensitive to say, but, considering the media cycle and what's on people's mind, and Plus, it was doomed to fail anyways. We all know this. You know, it was Sony, Tommy Mottola, and all that stuff. It was just the perfect storm, and one that he ultimately never got to recover from during his lifetime, at least. And it's so ironic how it sort of all came together like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry again. Apologize again. God,
no, please don't apologize because this is freaking awesome.
The caffeine. It's the caffeine in the morning.
Man, you have such a skill and talent for taking a question and then tying it into these overarching, amazing, great themes.
Yeah, like seriously. Historical events and stuff. It's awesome.
You know what it is, and I like. It's hard to say. I'm an ad writer, right? So I have to take the dumbest, benign features of a product, and I have to talk them.
Are you calling our questions dumb and benign?
No. But I've developed a skill for this toaster has a timer.
Yeah.
I've got to make this timer the biggest deal in the world. So and it takes a lot of. It's BS, is what it is. It takes a lot of that to. I'm very good at just pulling and pulling and pulling until something sticks, I guess. But yeah.
And we need to get some marketing tips off you for the MJCast.
You don't.
How
doing
we
great.
Doing?
You're doing awesome. You are doing phenomenal. It is such a great show. It really is, and you serve the community very, very, very well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Big fan.
My life will never be the same. 'Cause girl, you came and changed the way I walk, the way I talk. I cannot explain the things I feel for you. But girl, you know it's true. Stay with me, fulfill my dreams, and I'll be all you need. Girl
Hi, I'm Andy Healy, author of the MJ 101 series, and you're listening to the MJCast.
That was a remix of You Rock My World, one of my favourite songs from Michael Jackson's last studio album, Invincible. You can hear that one again if you follow the links in the show notes to YouTube. The final song that we'll be playing in the show is a track by Nigel George. It's called MJ You Are Loved. You can hear that one again on YouTube if you follow the show notes, or we've also got a link there to the track on iTunes if you'd like to pick it up there.
James, we've just discussed that you don't want to be the record holder for the longest episode ever, but I could sit and listen to you for 100 more hours, and I cannot wait to do that whenever we get you back on the show, because yeah, you are schooling me, you are educating me, and I'm banging on
lecturing
furniture.
you.
You're lecturing me. I'm loving it, and yeah, so thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, we will get you back as soon as you are able to come back, because yeah, great, love it. And listeners, let us know. What have your favorite stories been from James, and yeah, what else do you want to hear? But now we got finds of the week. Jamin.
Yes.
You found a really cool find of the week that I have seen in the past, and I loved it. And I think, James, you watched it this week and you loved it as well. So share your find of the week, and listeners, let us know what you think of Jamin's find.
Well, this one I'd never actually seen before. I don't know where it came from, but I was just browsing Facebook, I think, and I'm friends with a lot of Michael fans on Facebook, and I follow a lot of Michael groups and stuff. So a lot of random stuff come up in my feed, and this random video came up. I happened to click play, and it turns out to be some kind of manufacturing demonstration video of how Michael Jackson's History album was created, physically created in a record plant. And something felt a little bit weird about it. When I started watching it, I was like, this is where would this have ever have been shown? I thought maybe on maybe some kind of MTV special or something to do with the History album, but there was something off about it. I was like, this couldn't have been broadcast on TV. And then the people that are speaking on the actual video program were talking directly to Michael. They were saying things like, it's an honor to be in this video, Michael. We just want to show you what we do at this manufacturing plant. And it started to dawn on me that maybe this is a manufacturing demonstration video that was put together by Sony Music to show Michael Jackson and to educate Michael Jackson on how his History album was being created. And that's what it is, and it's absolutely awesome. It's so 90s, the hairstyles, the fashion, the computers, the technology, everything about it is so 90s. But it's so much fun to watch because you will be able to see exactly how they created the History album. Right down from laser etching the design into the CD to creating a master version of the CD on glass, on this thing called a glass master, which I'd never even heard of before, which was the original master that all the CDs came from. Really, really cool stuff. I think you'll enjoy it. There's a really funny moment in it where there's a couple that are working in this manufacturing plant, some colleagues, and ironically the guy's name's Michael and the girl's name's Janet. And I just cracked up. I'm like, I reckon Michael would have cracked up at that as well. That's just, what are the odds of that? But yeah, really cool video. I really enjoyed it. Check it out in the show notes if you want to see this piece of 90s goodness.
It's like an old training video from the 90s.
Yes.
For when you go and do a training at your brand new job at the supermarket or something. It's one of those videos that they would show you. I love it. It's classic.
Yeah, it's awesome. And the whole time I'm watching it, these are just normal, just normal people. Could be your uncle or your aunt, and just this is, I mean, imagine they are someone's uncle or aunt. Imagine being their nephew or niece and being a huge MJ fan. And this is presumably a few months before the album is released. And could you slip one of those in your pocket and bring it home to me? You know, like how cool of a job would that be to just, as a music lover, as a Michael Jackson fan, to see that like come through the thing. The warehouse that our company has, it used to belong to a big record chain here called FYE. They used to be Camelot Music. We have their old warehouse. Obviously, they had to downsize a lot over the years. They're still in business, but we have their warehouse. And a lot of our warehouse employees worked for the old record company or record store chain that used the warehouse. And every time I'm in there and I'll be, did you work here back when this was FYE? And, they'd be like, yeah. I'm like, what was it like, when Thriller or Bad, because, it's been in business forever. Like, what was that like? Like, I become like a total, like, fanboy. It's so cool. It's so cool. What a fun video.
Imagine having been somebody in it, knowing that Michael was going to be watching you.
Yeah, you'd want to make sure you ironed your shirt that day.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice find, man.
Thanks.
James, you've brought to the table your own find of the week. What have you got?
Yeah, okay. So this, so two fans, Pentum and Dorian. I know of Dorian, but Pentum is a good friend of mine, and they put together this song compilation. They did it for Michael's birthday about 3 years ago, and it only has like 1,400 views. I'm surprised it doesn't have more because it's so cool. What they've done is they've taken every time Michael has ever sung the line "My Life," which I did not realize was so often. But I mean, it's a pretty short clip, but it's still 47 seconds of just the word "my life." Nothing before it, nothing after it, just "my life, my life, my life," from all these songs, and it's got these cute videos of MJ doing dance moves, but they're not really dance moves, just his mannerisms. It's the coolest thing. And there's probably other phrases like he says all the time too, like
my
bottom
girl,
of my heart.
Yeah, Susie, hello.
Yeah. Like you could make full songs out of just one phrase that he says all the time. It's really neat. Check it out. Have you guys listened to it?
I had never seen this before. You put this in the show notes, and I checked it out, and I'm like, how have I never noticed that Michael's pretty much most common ever 2 words were "my life"? How have I missed that? Yeah.
I'd never seen it, and before I clicked play, I could already pick 2. I thought, okay, well, you got to have "she's out of my life," and then the opening word, the first lyrics to "You Rock My World" are "my life." So
yes.
I knew those 2, but heaps of the others, I was like, holy crap, I never realized. Yeah, it's crazy to watch and really cool. Very clever.
Yeah.
Very clever. Very random. Wasn't expecting that.
They're the best finds, though, I reckon. I like these random left field things that you never knew were out there. So very cool.
That's it. Speaking of, didn't know it was out there. Yeah, I've got a find of the week. And credit to Ale, one of the 3 wonderful hosts of our sister channel, the MJCast en Espanol. So Ale had said, "Oh, have you guys seen this?" Or she mentioned it in one of our group chats, and I had never seen it. So it's a YouTube channel by a beautiful English girl named Laura, and so her YouTube channel is The Book of Laura, and she is only recently become a big mega Michael fan. And she does videos on a lot of different things as well, like Korean girl groups and like hot guy compilations and stuff like that. But oh my God, Laura, I'm in love with you. You are the cutest. You are so cute, and you're just this ray of sunshine in the fan community. You've got this beautiful innocence and passion for Michael, and you're hilariously funny and just so cute. And yeah, so check out her channel. I've subscribed because I don't want to miss any of these Michael videos that Laura does. So she does like reaction videos by watching things. One of the ones, we're going to play a little clip from this one, which is a MJ fan tag. So it's like her top 12 sort of Michael questions or something. So we're going to play a little clip just to give you a bit of idea about what you might be able to find on some of Laura's videos. Jamin, we have to get Laura on the show.
Yeah,
It'll
totally.
be a hilarious episode.
I think we should.
Totally. Laura, if you're listening, this is our invitation. Please come on the show, be a co-host with us for an episode because, you are just wonderful and I love it. And yeah, I hope that you get a lot of views on your videos because they're really sweet. And yeah, just, it's talking about being fans and all that sort of stuff. Laura's just wonderful fan. It's so fun. So check it out. But here we are. We're going to play you a clip of some of the things from her fan tag video. So enjoy.
Number 10, if you had the chance to meet MJ, what would be your reaction? Probably something along the lines of, I just love your music so much, you mean so much to me. If you had the chance to tell MJ anything at all, what would you say? You single? Number 12, do you have a favourite MJ era? If yes, which one? Of course I have an MJ era. I think everyone has a favourite MJ era. My favourite MJ era is in between bad and dangerous. So, if that makes any sense. I like the end of bad, going into the very beginning of dangerous, sort of like black or white, like that sort of like, I think that's just... Well, that's it. That's all 12 questions. That was fun. In the comments, tell me your favourite Michael Jackson song. Down there, tell me now. Now, do it now, do it now. No pressure. Thank you so much for watching. This has been fun. If you liked it, please subscribe, is what I just said. And I'll be back soon with something else. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, I love you, bye.
There you go. Did any of you watch it?
Not that one, but I watched another one of hers. It was like a reaction video, which was really funny.
Yes.
Like her literal, like her facial expressions and reactions to all these. The thing that's so appealing about watching her reaction videos are we've seen the things a million times that she's watching for the first time. So yeah, it's great and hilarious, and you should subscribe.
Please subscribe.
I clicked on it yesterday. I was mobile, in the passenger seat of the car, and I watched a bit of it, and I immediately knew like this requires a lot of it's great, and I haven't actually watched the whole thing yet, but I'm definitely going to.
Yeah, I haven't watched all of her videos either. I want to sit and watch all of them with attention because they're so entertaining.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen a good amount. I was watching a couple yesterday. So funny. So funny. So yeah, Laura, can't wait till you're on the show. Thank you. Jamin, I saw a video. Bruce posted a video from the roller skating event.
Oh, did he? Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. So we were there in spirit because I saw that video and I did a tweet out. So that was really awesome, and that looked like so much fun. It brought back so many memories of going to like the skating rink and having a Michael song come on. That would have been so cool. But I think they do it every year. So
yeah, they do. It's a year
next year. There you go. Next year, go to roller skate in LA. Give Bruce a hug for us. Yeah.
So, James, where can people find you online if they want to contact and communicate with you about MJ stuff?
Right now, I'm probably most active on Facebook. So please reach out to me on Facebook. James Alay, A-L-A-Y. You could put a link to it in the show notes if you want.
Sure will. No worries. And we're, of course, available on a range of social networks as well. If you want to reach out to Q and I as the MJCast, we're on all the major social networks. You can find us at Facebook at the MJCast. We're on Twitter as the MJCast. Instagram is the MJCast. We're on Tumblr as the MJCast. The web address for that one is themjcast.tumblr.com. You can also find us on YouTube at youtube.com/+themjcast. You can hear all of our shows on YouTube. But of course, if you want to hear the shows as soon as they are ready to listen to, you need to subscribe to the MJCast as a podcast. We know a lot of you listen to us on the website. We've seen the stats and we know a large chunk of our audience
love click and play on the mjcast.com, which I guess is cool, but please know that we are a podcast and you can subscribe to us on your mobile device, whether it's an iPhone or an Android phone. On iPhone, of course, it comes with the built-in Apple Podcasts app. Just search the MJCast in there and hit subscribe. If you've got an Android phone, you can subscribe to us by downloading our podcatcher application. There's a lot of different ones on there, like Podcast Addict, Podcast Republic, etc. Stitcher Radio. Grab us on your mobile device because you don't have to do anything. The show delivers directly to you, to your device, and it'll be ready to go when you want to go out jogging or do your workout or, clean the house or whatever you're doing. Go for a drive and you can listen to the MJCast straight from your mobile device.
Nice one. And also, if you're a Spanish-speaking listener, we have just launched the MJCast en Español. You can find those shows at the moment over at themjcast.com/Espanol. And they will be launching on iTunes soon. In the coming weeks, it'll be available on iTunes.
So yeah, if you're a bilingual listener, you speak Espanol and English, you'll be very lucky because you'll be able to enjoy two shows from the MJCast network. Look, if you are listening to the MJCast en Español, I know that Jason, Sandra, and Ale would love your feedback. So make sure that you shoot us an email at themjcast@icloud.com and let those wonderful three hosts know how great a job they're doing with the MJCast en Español, because I know they're loving putting the shows together.
Oh, sure. All right. So, we got just a quick couple of thank yous. I just wanted to say thank you to Saida Garrett for letting us play the amazing track. So thank you for the permission. Thank you to Tarrell Jackson also for granting permission to play his amazing tribute song. And thank you to Erica for all hard work also in the lead up to this show. And I just wanted to give a special shout out to Jermaine DeVals. Thank you for helping us launch the MJCast en Español with your production skills for the, what did he call it? Can you remember the name of the little music thing that he... Stinger, that's it. Yeah, new word for me to learn. The little stinger on the little animated logo videos that we launched with the promo teaser. So, yeah, thank you, Jermaine. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to working with you on other stuff in the future.
Launching the MJCast en Español has been a really monumental sort of effort over the past couple of months, and that's partly why we haven't released a show for the past few weeks, because we wanted to give those guys a bit of breathing room with getting their shows out. And it wouldn't have been possible without so many different people. And James, of course, you're one of the big players in getting that show really to be a possibility. I had no idea how to do category podcasting whatsoever and how to configure WordPress to allow us to put out multiple podcasts from one website, especially when it got to the stage of looking at doing crazy things like, what was it called again? A 301 redirect or something. I had no idea what that was. Right. So thank you so much for your expertise.
Yeah, I was reading that conversation, the texts between you guys, and I was like, yeah, I understand 0% of this, so I'm just going to go sit over here in the corner, post some pretty pictures on Twitter, because I know how to do that. So that was entertaining. So thank you for that, James.
My pleasure. Happy to do it.
Thank you for joining us on this birthday episode. I hope that fans have enjoyed being part of the fandom that we've been sharing today. I have. I've loved it.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yay. You going to come back one day? Yes,
sure.
That's the answer is yes.
I'd love to.
You don't really have a choice.
You'll be back.
I love to tour.
Oh, nice one. Cool. Well, everyone celebrate Michael today. Yeah, just enjoy Michael and enjoy being a Michael fan.
Yeah, whether you're out with your friends doing an awesome Michael gathering or you're sitting at home watching a Michael Jackson concert or
you've got those headphones on and really delving deep into some of his music, make sure you enjoy Michael because he is certainly one of a kind.
Yeah, so I'm going to sign off now. So happy birthday, Michael Jackson. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Jamin. Thank you, James, for today. I've had a wonderful time. And yeah, thank you. Tune in soon. Michael on.
Keep Michaeling. All right, James, so we've got a question for you that we ask every guest that we ever have on. And you can expect your answer to go in the Christmas special as well. But we always ask people how they think Michael should be remembered.
I think Michael should be remembered as a beautiful, incredible human being. And it's easy to acknowledge his artwork, his performance, his music. But what matters most, what you should expect out of your neighbor or your child or a friend is something along the lines of Michael's heart. And that's something that you can do and that you can achieve without having to be a musician or a dancer or a writer. You can be a good person. And Michael is among the best of person.
Michael, you're the best there ever was. There'll never be another like you.
Mankind wasn't ready for such a genius. Could not conceive this. No, the way that you're mesmerized. Never seen it, still can't believe it. And we forgot that you were just a man. We apologize for every tear you cried. You were such an inspiration to the world, Michael. You are love. We don't deserve you. That's why you're moonwalking on the cloud. You are love. Although they hurt you, get your head up, make us proud. One day we'll see you in the crowd, and we adore you. There's no one better doing it now. The world couldn't get enough of your magic and your talent. No, your work is your legacy, and forever to be treasured. And through your friends and your family, you will never die. You're larger than life. You were the greatest entertainer in the world, Michael. We don't deserve you, no.
can achieve. Oh, love. That's why, Michael, you are love. Oh, no. You get your head up. You are love. And how we miss you so. So, yeah, yeah. And we adore you. Do anything for you. I know. Sing. Michael, you are love. We miss you so. We love you so much. Oh, we miss you so. We love you so, so much. And we adore you. Do anything for you. You are love.
The MJCast.